Chapter 471, Divine Descent Zhongxian. All the divine spirits ruling this world know one thing. That is, while the realm after death may belong to the heavenly venerables, life before death is spent entirely under the gaze of light. As such, countless spirits fear, revere, and simultaneously worship the light. And, for that reason, they also despise it. Among them, Blood Yin particularly hates the light. No, to be precise, they have hated it ever since the days when they were still Yu Hao Te. When they learned the truth about the light and its ugly purpose from the oldest one, they began to despise the light. Of course, now that they have lost the power and backing they once had, they are treated like a bug by the light and must fear it, but they still hate the light. With the added matter of their old friend, Vast Cold, the light became even more loathsome. Thus, they cannot forgive Baek Woon, the devotee of the light who manages Vast Cold's corpse. Moreover, they cannot forgive Seo Eun Yun, the one who brought light into that world. While they might not be able to touch Baek Woon, who is assimilating with the bright cold realm, Seo Eun Yun is different. At most, Seo Eun Yun only became an esteemed one by handling discarded old power like the Hard Tribe or whatever it's called. He isn't particularly intimidating, and even if he raises the realm of his heaven and earth dual cultivation to the star-shattering stage, it wouldn't be scary. There's no need to mention the entering nirvana stage, and even sacred masters are not frightening unless they are assimilated with the middle realms. How much less so would someone at the mere star-shattering stage be? However, Blood Yin feels something strange. It's Seo Eun Yun, with whom they reunited due to their own prophecy. The moment Seo Eun Yun saw them, he immediately began advancing to the star-shattering stage, as if desperately trying to resist. Originally, Blood Yin planned to kill him and extract and torture his soul for tens of thousands of years. But now, Blood Yin watches with amusement, as if Seo Eun Yun is saving them the trouble of killing him. After all, the probability of advancing to the star-shattering stage isn't high, and even if by some miracle he succeeds, it would only make him more vulnerable to a true immortal after reaching the star-shattering stage, so there's nothing to worry about. Even if he doesn't become more vulnerable, it's just a single star-shattering stage. An early star-shattering stage at that. Compared to a true immortal, the difference is as extreme as that between a human and a long-tailed tit or perhaps a chick. Surely, it must be like that. But as Blood Yin watches Seo Eun Yun advance before their eyes, and the star he completed, they are shocked. What are you? Normally, a star created during one's first advancement to the star-shattering stage is about the size of a satellite. However, the star that appeared before Blood Yin's eyes. It's clearly the size of a planet. This is definitely not a normal situation. Moreover, Blood Yin can't help but be astonished by the ring that begins to form around Seo Eun Yun. Heaven and earth dual cultivation. How? No matter if it's someone who cultivated heaven and earth dual cultivation during the integration stage, they cannot undergo the star-shattering advancement all in one go. From the star-shattering stage onward, if one wants to cultivate heaven and earth dual cultivation, they must perform the absurd advancement ritual, one more time. In the state where they've already formed a star, they must explode the star once again to comprehend attraction force through the insane process. Otherwise, heaven and earth dual cultivation at the star-shattering stage is impossible. Yet, for some reason, Seo Eun Yun is wearing the ring, the proof of a heaven and earth dual cultivation practitioner. Child, what kind of sorcery have you used? Reveal the truth before this chief judge. I failed, and failed, and failed again. I exploded myself in front of Blood Yin dozens, hundreds of times. And, through that process, I delved deeper and deeper into the nature of attraction force. In a state where my star was complete, I repeatedly caused it to explode and continually improved. And after enduring the strikes of a true immortal hundreds of times with my body, I came to understand true immortals even more. A true immortal is a world itself. Not a fake world like the small worlds formed in the integration stage or the satellites made in the star-shattering stage, but a true world itself. This is what a true immortal is. In the body of a true immortal, real living beings can grow, possessing true birth, aging, sickness, and death, with cultivators who advance toward immortal cultivation emerging from within. They are no different from God's Qian who dominate from above, regulating the fates of all phenomena under the heavens like invincible rulers. After enduring the power of a world hundreds of times, I finally found a way to counter the world. A mere mortal cannot withstand a world's power. Therefore, one must borrow it. If I cannot defeat the world with my own hands, I, too, must borrow the world's power. Wu Wang. Once again, I soar towards the heavenly tribulation that Hong Fan shot at me. And I see it. Blood Yin's attraction force, moving in the plane of fate. I too must soar into the plane of fate, if only for an instant. Pot. In an instant, the star I created shrinks and enters my body. How many times have I created a star, self-destructed, and regressed? At some point, a ring had appeared around me. This ring is drawing in the surrounding power. Much like the heavenly circle formed during the heavenly being stage that draws in heaven and earth spiritual energy, the power of the ring seems to draw in the power of the world itself. Blood Yin attempts to strike Hong Fan. I push my main body, which is now encircled by the ring, inside my incarnation and transform into human form, charging towards Blood Yin's single strike. The colorless glass sword is grasped in my hand. Though brief, in this short period, I regressed hundreds of times, and the colorless glass sword, which had been overlapped hundreds of times, evolved into a Dharma treasure at the star-shattering level. Holding the now more fearsome colorless glass sword, my eyes gleam as I begin to draw a circle. Blood Yin's attack seems about to strike Hong Fan at any moment, but I pay it no mind and continue drawing a circle with my sword on the spot. Keying. This is the sub-heart sword, transcending mountain ridge embedment. Simultaneously, it is also accumulating dust forms a mountain. Within the hazy mist, a colorless circle is being drawn. Just as Kim Yian's paired wing dance had, for a brief moment, reached the realm of true infinity due to the puppets of the wonderfully mysterious fortress. Each time my sword draws a circle, my consciousness accelerates more and more. Boong, 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 boong. ... Keying. At first, the rotation seems a bit slow, but before I know it, I feel like I've entered a realm where the world has come to a halt. Up to this point, this is a state that can be reached with normal mental acceleration. I accelerate further. My sword moves. Faster. More. Keying. More. Keying. More. Peat. At some moment, I feel as if the world has completely stopped. I feel as if I have become light itself. No, perhaps I might even be faster than that. In this frozen world, I look up at the plane of fate. Even now, Blood Yin is still moving within this frozen world. And they're moving so naturally. Blood Yin meets my gaze. How astonishing, to reach this realm with the body of a mortal. Their eyes gleam. I see. Do you possess all 5 senses? 5 senses. What does that mean? I was wondering how a mere mortal could push his mind into the realm of the immortal family, but for you to use such a method. Astonishing, truly astonishing. I don't understand what they're saying. But one thing is clear. At this moment, my mind has, even if only briefly, risen to a level equal to those beings called true immortals. By endlessly drawing circles and accelerating my mind, I have reached this realm. Blood Yin seems to grasp my intention and mocks me. Are you perhaps struggling to block my strike? I can't answer. To remain in this realm, even temporarily, I must desperately keep drawing the circle. It's useless. Do you think raising your mind to our level will solve anything? Ha ha ha. Then, the next moment, Blood Yin's attack strikes me, standing in front of Hong Fan. I must maintain the circle. A red wave from the plane of fate engulfs me. I grit my teeth as I feel my entire body evaporating under the overwhelming force. No, endure. Continue maintaining the circle. If I do, I can succeed. If I keep maintaining it, the move of Sumeru. But in the end, I fail to maintain my balance before this immense force. Half my body, including my main body, is flung away, breaking my balance, and the circle I was drawing shatters. At the same time, my mind returns to the realm of mortal beings. Single quote ... Damn it. As I feel my consciousness fading, I stretch out my hand toward Hong Fan and Jaeon Myung-hoon. My attraction force surges toward them, pushing them far away. The next moment, an immense star tribulation swallows me, and I lose consciousness. That is my 986th return. 986th cycle. Once again, I unleash the move of Sumeru and charge at Blood Yin. Blood Yin repeats the same situation as before. Everything is the same, but one thing is different. Kugugugugugu. Blood Yin's power of immense force becomes a wave that engulfs me. But I do not stop drawing the circle. Even as half of my body is destroyed, even as my main body is shattered, I don't stop. In the final moment, at the end of drawing the circle again, I finally feel my power reach a certain realm. The circle I have been drawing now surrounds me like a ring of light. I feel the endlessly drawn circle solidify, and I compress it. The compressed circle enters my body. At the center of my shattered star body. At the very core, the circle I had been drawing becomes a single point. I let out a bitter smile. Is this the limit, Jiang? The moment right after I complete the point, I am hit and killed by Blood Yin's single strike. Before my star is completely destroyed, I must complete this point. But, it's too late. It's fine, though, next time, I will make sure I succeed. That is my 987th return. 987th cycle. Pot. I draw the circle, push my mind into the realm of true immortals, and successfully compress the circle into a point. Now it really begins. Fortunately, I completed the point before my body was completely destroyed. What remains is to split the point. The formula for creating the gang sphere. Using that formula, I duplicate the point into 3. With this, pot, 3 points split again into 9. Then, the 9 points split into 27, and the 27 into 81. With each split, the speed of the process grows faster. But the next moment, Waduk, I die again. Faster. 988th cycle. The points created through rotation could be counted in the hundreds. But once again, I failed to reach the target. More. 989th cycle. 990th cycle. 991st cycle. At some point, I started to feel as though the circle I am madly drawing is being internalized within my mind. This is, finally, I understand. This act of drawing a circle has, at some point, become completely one with me, just like the sub-heart swords transcending mountain ridge embedment. Flash. The moment I realize this, I draw a circle at the start of the cycle and immediately condense it into a point. Pot. Then, the point generated within my body instantly splits into dozens, hundreds, and begins to scatter in all directions. Soon after, I realize that 3,000 lights have appeared around me. Now it's enough. What petty trick is this? I can sense Blood Yin mocking me. Silently, I raise my sword. In the next moment, the original point inside me emits light. Simultaneously, the light erupting from the original point begins to connect with the other 3,000 points. It looks like a constellation formed of 3,000 stars. Ho, is that what it is? As expected of a true immortal. Despite being rotten, Blood Yin quickly realizes what I am trying to do. The constellation that starts from me continues to spread out, even though the points have all disappeared. The lines of the constellation reach the far side of the interdimensional void. They connect to the vestiges there. Chijijik. The constellation continues to connect. Once the constellation connects with one vestige, it extends further, linking with more and more vestiges. In an instant, the entire interdimensional void begins to shine because of the constellation connected to me. You momentarily push your mind into the immortal domain, Xian Yu, replicate that mind, and connect those replicated minds to the vestiges. Do you intend to grant those vestiges the mind of an immortal being? You intend to flail about before me with that? Even if you temporarily grant the mind of an immortal to those waste materials, what do you think will change? They chuckle, seemingly amused. You're better than most quasi-immortals. It's not a true immortal art, but it can be considered a sub-immortal art. Wrong. I speak as I look up at Blood Yin. I didn't connect the minds to the vestiges. I can sense Blood Yin flinch in surprise as they look down at me. Speaking in the domain of true immortals consumes an immense amount of mental power, so without saying more, I continue to activate the move of Sumeru. The lines of the constellation created from Sumeru finally extend beyond the interdimensional void and reach the astral realm. The vestiges are merely a medium. What I truly aim to reach is the universe itself. Through the constellations, I connect directly to the universe and feel a sudden tremor in my being for an instant. This is the universe. It is so grand that even trying to express it in words feels blasphemous. An infinite space of a divine level. That is what the astral realm, the universe, truly is. Starting from transcending peaks, I begin to unfold every move in severing mountain swordsmanship up to transcending mountain ridge embedment. My severing mountain swordsmanship had already begun to merge into one when I created accumulating dust forms a mountain. But today, I have made up my mind to meld severing mountain swordsmanship even further. Moves connect to moves. Simultaneously, the star ring within my body rotates fiercely, starting to absorb the world itself. The moves connecting to moves of severing mountain swordsmanship draw a circle, and as the circle overlaps with the star ring within me, it happens. Quack. At last, through the constellation connected to the entire universe, the power of the entire world begins to be drawn into me. It's as if the universe itself is being sucked into my sword form. Blood Yin had said this. How dare someone reach their level of power through a mere mortal's mind? They are right. Even if I momentarily connect my mind to the domain that transcends all speed and space-time, they are beings who exist so comfortably in this realm. I, alone, cannot defeat them. That's why I won't rely on just my mind. I connected the vestiges to me. Then, I connected to the worlds inside those vestiges and imbued my mind into them. Using those vestiges as mediums, I imbued my mind into the universe. The dust in the far reaches of the universe. The starlight, the cold, the heat, the workings of heaven and earth's spiritual energy. In this brief moment, my mind, which has reached the immortal realm, is briefly embedded in them all. Of course, I'm not truly borrowing the power of the entire universe. But, I earnestly pray to this whole world as I swing my sword. Please, lend me your power. After countless rotations, I thrust my sword towards Blood Yin's single strike. The power of the entire world stretches out to meet the force of another world that is charging at me. The next moment, exclamation mark, I explode along with the red wave rushing towards me. Ah, finally, on the 991st cycle, I successfully achieve mutual destruction with a true immortal's single strike. That is my 992nd return. 992nd cycle. Once more, mutual destruction is not enough. I must block this single strike, survive, and after blocking the heavenly tribulation that Hong Fan and Jaeon Myung-hoon gathered for me. After fully entering the star-shattering stage, until I can completely defy Blood Yin, continue to advance this sword. I perform a sword dance. It is a sword dance composed of endless circles. I draw a circle, create a point, and scatter that point to form a constellation. After borrowing the power of the universe through that constellation, I perform a sword dance that integrates the entirety of the Severing Mountain swordsmanship and unleash the final strike. That is, Severing Mountain swordsmanship, 33rd move, Sumeru, Shumi, Jaeong. Once again, my sword shatters. This time, however, there is no mutual destruction. The sword merely crumbles to pieces, and all the energy in my body is drained. Ha, ha, I laugh as I watch the star tribulation descending upon me. Now, I am almost there. That is my 993rd return. 993rd cycle. I perform a sword dance and thrust my sword forward. Pawak, the red wave descending from the plane of fate splits in half. Ha ha, at first, I couldn't even perceive it, but now I can see. The process of the red torrent, bursting from Blood Yin's body like a sea of blood, surging towards Hong Fan is now vividly clear to me. The sword didn't shatter. I smile slightly. I take another step forward. Though I used up all my energy, I managed to block Blood Yin's single strike without shattering the sword. Kurururun. Once again, I close my eyes as I take the star tribulation head-on. That is my 994th return. 994th cycle. 995th cycle. 996th cycle. 997th cycle. Ah, suddenly, I realize that I've entered a kind of trance. Puong Hu Jing. The red torrent flies towards Hong Fan in front of me. It's a torrent descending from the plane of fate. It's too weak to be considered a true immortal art, and it's merely an attack sent by Blood Yin in a jest, but even so, it's the strike of a true immortal. After several deaths, I now feel certain that I can split that attack without breaking my sword, and without exhausting all my energy. Only then do I fully realize I've finally reached great completion in a new technique. Just learning a technique doesn't mean one can use it perfectly. Even the creator of the technique must practice it, refine it, and find ways to improve it until they internalize the optimal form that suits them best. Only by reaching that stage can one truly say they have reached great completion in it. Wing. At the same time, I experience something strange. Everything in the world appears as a sword. Blood Yin is a sword. Every vestige in the interdimensional void is a sword. Every star tribulation flashing in the universe is a sword. Every starlight casting down star tribulation is also a sword. Ah, I discover a new facet of the technique I've just created. The 33rd move of Severing Mountain swordsmanship is not only a sword dance that borrows the power of the world, but also a spell that draws power from the world like Great Desert to Dead Sea. And the phrase borrows power from the world implies if there's an entity that is akin to a world itself, they can lend me their power through the sword dance I perform. Divine Descent Zhang Xian. I can sense a divine being descending within my sword dance. Do you seek the Tao through the sword? For some reason, I find myself answering the divine being's question as if entranced. Yes, I do. You have reached the Tao-seeking Chu Tao realm of the sword. As you have caught this seat's eye, there exists the intent to make you a devotee. Yet, to offer assistance is a different matter. Should you desire my aid, you must prove your skills. Combine sword and immortal as one and reveal your mastery. I understand what it means. Until now, I've only wielded the sword from the perspective of martial arts. And this unknown true immortal is telling me to merge swordsmanship from both the perspective of martial arts and the perspective of spells. Pot. I unfold my sword dance within the radiance. It feels as if someone is helping me from the side. My swordsmanship, spells, divine powers, and attraction force all combine so naturally. I hear what seems to be a satisfied laugh in my ear. The someone who is helping me is admiring my swordsmanship. Hearing that laughter, my mind wavers, and I feel a deep urge to submit to that someone right then and there. Instinctively, I can sense it. This being has reached the utmost pinnacle of the sword. Although not of the heart tribe, it feels like this being is akin to a god as a sword cultivator like Hong Su Ryong. Ah, I want to return to thee. How wonderful would it be to return to this being and become their sword. The exhausting life of a mortal with flesh and blood tires me. I want to live as nothing more than a sword, as iron. Yes, I will reach you. How dare you? Blood Yin's enraged voice snaps me back to my senses. Once again, you summon a wicked thing. Sinister beings, I beseech you to leave the sun and moon heavenly domain. The next moment, under the power of Blood Yin's immortal art, activated with their full effort, my body is crushed, and I die. That is my 998th return. Is it already the 998th cycle? It's been long. So incredibly, endlessly long. In the last cycle, I was entranced by someone and nearly returned to them, but this time is different. With just my pure strength alone, I can block up to Blood Yin's general single strike. Once again, I slip into a trance, but this time, I do not lose my mind. Rather, I perform the sword dance with just my mind. As a world nests in my sword, a burst of radiance explodes outward. Simultaneously, I once again see the vision where the entire world appears as swords. Once more, someone tempts me with their voice. You, Tao seeker of the sword. Follow this seat, then you shall see the ultimate truth of the sword. I refuse. No thank you. What did you say? I will see the ultimate truth of the sword with my own hands. TSSSSAAAAAA. A brilliant white radiance erupts from within the sword dance. Within that radiance, I push back the mind of the being speaking to me and shout. What meaning is there in attaining the ultimate truth of the sword by borrowing another's hands? I have failed, and failed again. This is my sword, built upon the mountain of failure. My sword is mine. The ultimate truth of the sword I seek is also mine alone. I appreciate your goodwill, but I will achieve it with my own hands. As I shake off the will of the transcendent being that descended into the sword dance, I thrust my sword towards the single strike of Blood Yin. Severing mountain swordsmanship. 33rd move, Sumeru. The sword dance that borrows the power of the world flies towards the single strike unleashed by another world. At last, in the 998th cycle, for the first time, I have perfectly blocked Blood Yin's strike. Hong Fan. I shout in mental speech to Hong Fan. As Hong Fan's entering heavens bursts forth, memories of the 16th cycle flash by. What will you name your entering heavens beyond the path? I haven't thought of a good name, but, does a name really matter? I'll just call it whatever comes to mind. What are you saying? Only by having a name will it make it more satisfying when you use it, no. If you can't come up with one, how about I name it for you? Do as master pleases. Alright, do you have something you strive for? Some meaning you'd like to have in the name? Nothing specific comes to mind, but, if we must name it, please include the word sword. Sword, yes. Since Master's entering heavens is the formless sword, and since I'm receiving it from Master, I'd like it to have sword in it. Got it. In that case, a black darkness is caught in Hong Fan's hand. The darkness expands, becoming a massive maw that devours the light. Let's go with the sword that cuts through the void, Shukong, of nothingness. In the 16th cycle, I had given his entering heavens a name like that. Because Hong Fan's sword, which united countless martial flows, was extraordinary enough to cut even the completely nothing and void sky. If you don't like it or if you come up with a better name later, feel free to change it. If another name comes to mind, you can use that instead. No, I quite like it. The Sword of the Void. If I come up with a name I like more, I will return this name to Master. Of course, Hong Fan. The name of your entering heavens will henceforth be I burst out in mental speech, and Hong Fan swings the sword of the void towards the falling star tribulation. If I can't think of a better name until the end, I will continue to use this name even in the next life. Void Sword. Entering heavens beyond the path. Void Sword, Shu Kong Jian. Hong Fan's sword extends towards the sky, connecting with the heavenly tribulation, and Jian Myonghun's authority activates, drawing in millions of heavenly tribulations. As Jian Myonghun's power merges with Hong Fan's, their combined strength multiplies. In an instant, hundreds of billions, trillions, of star tribulations converge. And I, once again, begin to descend Zhongxian divine descent, the power of the universe through the sword dance of Sumeru. The first star tribulation is unavoidable. However, the unavoidable heavenly tribulation can definitely be blocked. The Sumeru sword dance, which can even cleave the single strike of a true immortal in half, cuts through the first star tribulation formed by the union of billions of star tribulations. My single sword strike pierces through the star tribulation, breaks through the boundary between the interdimensional void and the astral realm, and enters the domain of the universe. I close my eyes. Within the almost 1,000 cycles of regression, I can finally give a genuine smile that I couldn't do before. Wu Wang, the shattered star tribulation above me begins to flow directly into my body. At the same time, I feel myself truly connected with the stars that had just launched the star tribulations at me. I know what this is. It is a star vein. Through the star tribulation, I have become connected to the stars, and by receiving a star vein, I am being officially recognized as a true star by the universe itself. That is the true nature of the star tribulation. Through the star vein, the power of all the stars in the universe flows into me. My consciousness domain expands like crazy. I feel like I could explore the entire Heaven Tribe territory with just my consciousness domain alone if I willed it. I feel the power of the stars as I draw forth attraction force, quickly bringing my comrades into the star within my body. After quickly retrieving the exhausted Hong Fan and Jian Myonghun, I take a single step forward. The surroundings shift instantly. This is the astral realm. The sea of stars, also known as the universe, the domain of infinity. At last, I have truly become an esteemed one. The realm where I can, through the ground shrinking technique, move through space as if it were a dimensional leap. The realm where I can cross from the interdimensional void directly into the astral realm without any help from the middle realms. That is the star-shattering stage. Zhejiang. It feels like a corner of the universe is collapsing. In the distance, a part of the universe crumbles with an immense ripple. From there, a red sea begins to stretch its hand towards me. I grin. This is just the beginning. Feeling the endless power of the star vein flowing into me, I take another step forward. Blood Yin's figure quickly recedes into the distance. Feeling the power of having truly reached the star-shattering stage, I leap across tens of light years and escape. Goo. However, I see that what appears to be Blood Yin's hand continuing to chase after me, undeterred. Now that I've completely reached the star-shattering stage, I'll retain this realm even if I regress. Since I've solidified my realm after withstanding the heavenly tribulation, it won't only be the nebula that follows me. Now, I just need to find something in this astral realm that can defy the fate Blood Yin has prophesied. And I've already decided on a candidate. However, just then, exclamation mark. While leaping through the astral realm, I am forced to stop in one sector. Roughly 50 starlights are blocking my path. They aren't the main bodies, just incarnations. Even so, each one feels like they are at the sacred vessel stage. I immediately know who they are. We shot star tribulations to kill you, but what kind of being are you, absorbing it all and advancing instead? The 50 entering nirvana beings I clashed with. In the nether ghost realm. They are the ones blocking my path. Goo. Behind me, Blood Yin's arm continues to follow, while in front of me, the 50 incarnations of the entering nirvana true persons block my way. A situation of being trapped from both sides. Can I use the Sumeru sword dance one more time? I am quite lacking in energy. Not knowing whether I may be a true immortal's clone, incarnation, or immortal treasure, do you dare block my path? I decide to bluff, but the 50 entering nirvana true persons laugh mockingly. The former chief judge of the netherworld guaranteed that you are nothing of the sort. We will kill you here, you insignificant thing. Damn it, there's no other choice. My entire body trembles as if it's about to fall apart, and I have almost no strength left. But it seems my fortune is to keep swinging my sword until the very end of ends. I prepare my Sumeru sword dance, raising my sword will. It's then, will you truly not return to this seat? Someone speaks to me again from within the Sumeru sword dance. I don't need it. Is that so? But this seat is beginning to covet you. Will you not become this seat's immortal treasure? I said I don't need it. It cannot be helped. Then this seat shall make a grand gesture. Wu Wang. From beyond the farthest starry sky, I sense that something is heading to this place. That's, through the Sumeru sword dance I've unfolded, someone is descending and calling their power here. That's. Why I is that falling here? Were you their devotee all along? Everyone, flee as far as possible. It is a sword, a massive sword of radiant silver light is descending through the universe towards this place. I feel Blood Yin's arm flinch in shock and retreat. The size of the sword of light is so immense that even the sun looks like a firefly in comparison. And, the moment the sword falls into this space, sword-guided star Rai, ding, the entire sun and moon heavenly domain trembles. As the sword of light shatters, all 50 incarnations sent by the entering nirvana true persons are obliterated. I can feel that even their main bodies beyond the incarnations have suffered tremendous damage. However, more than anything, I can feel that Blood Yin has been struck with a catastrophic blow and has been thrown down. A corner of the universe collapses under the impact of the sword of light. I ask the someone who has shown me such overwhelming goodwill. Who are you? The someone responds. I can't help but be shocked by their answer. This seat is the fifth of the Radiant's 8 immortals. Sword Spear Heavenly Lord. ! You, Tao Seeker of the Sword. One day, you shall become this seat's immortal treasure. 472. Sururuk. The Sumeru sword dance comes to an end. Simultaneously, the will embedded in the sword dance by the Sword Spear Heavenly Lord fades away. Someday, you will be mine. I swallow as I listen to the words of the Sword Spear Heavenly Lord. I've garnered the attention of true immortals once or twice before. The oldest one had even pursued me during regression, and the owner of Great Mountain had descended to kill me. Furthermore, although I don't remember it well, there was a time I met a being known as an immortal beast, and in the darkness of the Serving Command Arc, I also encountered someone. In addition, I also met with the owner of Heavenly Punishment, the Heavenly Venerable of Time, Zhengli, and Young Song. It's not just once or twice. Anyway, I have received their interest and anger before. However, I had never encountered a being who coveted me like the Sword Spear Heavenly Lord. To think a true immortal, and one speculated to be from a faction of light, desires me. It is nothing short of a terrifyingly misfortune that sends chills down one's spine. I look back. It seems as if a massive crack has formed in the universe. It looks as if a huge stone had fallen on a glass window, punching a hole through it. This is crazy. Despite the universe's restorative power refilling the space, I shiver remembering the incredible power unleashed by the Sword Spear Heavenly Lord. Wait, by the way, I recall something as I look at the hole pierced in the universe. There is silence beyond the hole. No reaction has come after the scream of the Blood Yin. My eyes tremble as I look at the hole. 1 second, 2 seconds, 3 seconds, I laugh. Then, quietly smiling, I feel the utmost joy within the life and death that had nearly repeated 1,000 cycles and spread my arms wide. I am free. At last, I have escaped. I am free. There is no sound in space. The vast starry sky and the darkness stretch endlessly. I start to laugh in that starry heaven. As I laugh, heaven and earth's spiritual energy bursts forth around me, beginning to surge. A roar of laughter bursts forth from my mental speech. I have, finally, escaped. I feel the aura of Blood Yin subside completely, and I cry while laughing. Kururung. Finally, Zhejiang. My incarnation explodes, and my main body inside is revealed. The compressed main body appears in the cosmic space. The main bodies of esteemed ones, known as the Origin Star Ben Yuan Xing. Origin Star. Colorless sword mountain treading sea great star. My integrated Tao domain has become a star in space, emitting starlight. A star made entirely of crystal glass from the surface to the core. The star filled with the sword mountain with inverted swords scattered everywhere has become both my world and myself. At the same time, I feel an immense surge of spiritual energy rushing into the origin star through the star vein. At first, it seems that heaven and earth's spiritual energy is simply filling the various places within the origin star. However, soon after the heaven and earth's spiritual energy fills up, the star starts to move as spirit veins begin to enter inside my star. The spirit veins fill various places in the colorless sword mountain-like blood vessels. Simultaneously, heaven and earth's spiritual energy begins to circulate within the star. Heaven and earth's spiritual energy circulates throughout the planet, beginning to create celestial phenomena. Inside the star, it even rains, and brilliant glows gather to form something akin to spirits. At the same time, explosions of heaven and earth's spiritual energy occur within, materials combine, and life-like entities begin to emerge. They are just microbes for now, merely akin to bacteria, but, perhaps in a few 100 million years, fully sentient beings might be born. Just then, I notice that the circulation of heaven and earth's spiritual energies inside my star is reaching a critical point. Ah, coo-goo-goo-goo-goo. Simultaneously, heaven and earth's spiritual energy starts to be produced, in accordance with the principles of nature. A star that used to only suck in spiritual energy through other stars' star veins can now transmit heaven and earth's spiritual energy towards other stars. It is only now that I feel truly connected with the star vein. Ah, I see. From chi refining to the integration stage, one only consumes heaven and earth's spiritual energy. Most cultivators spend their lives sucking in the heaven and earth spiritual energy around them, confining it within their bodies, and use it for spells, endlessly consuming resources. Even reaching the 4-axis and integration stage, only the amount of heaven and earth spiritual energy one can consume and confine increases, merely extending the retention period. The truth of consumption does not disappear. However, it changes after reaching the star-shattering stage. From this point on, true nature forms inside one's body, and according to the circulation within that nature, heaven and earth spiritual energy is produced. The entering nirvana stage creates stars, the sacred vessel stage organizes constellations, and the star-shattering stage produces the materials that can create stars. I recall the dawn of the universe and comprehend the star-shattering stage. The star-shattering stage involves circulating heaven and earth spiritual energy within one's own star, being in the position of a producer who can create materials, or in other words, produce heaven and earth spiritual energy. The rank of a producer in the universe's hierarchy. That is precisely the star-shattering stage. Wo Wang, I produce heaven and earth spiritual energy and further precisely imprint my star's attraction force into the universe. Wo Wang, communing with the vast spacetime that is the universe, I imprint the principles of my first star through attraction force. The formulas of the star-shattering stage are, as obvious as it is, the formulas of the examination of doubts. Rain, clearing, cloudiness, want of connection, crossing. And inner diagram, outer diagram. Shwa. On the newly created first star, rain begins to fall. The rain turns into crystal as soon as it touches the ground, becoming the foundation of my star. Thus, my first star becomes a star symbolizing the early star-shattering stage. Heavenly rain, great star. From now on, I should cultivate according to the practice of the star-shattering stage. The practice of the star-shattering stage is simple yet immense. The cultivation of esteemed ones is as follows. Above the star one has created, create an incarnation using the elements, chemical elements, of one's own star. Then, have that incarnation mobilize the power of the star to again rise to the grand perfection integration stage. After that, explode the incarnation again to create a second star. Thus, after creating a total of 5 stars and imprinting the principles of rain, clearing, cloudiness, want of connection, and crossing onto them. Take the 5 satellites and drag them around to orbit a suitable planet. Endlessly orbit the planet until one's satellites align in a row around the planet, then borrow the planet's power to complete the inner diagram. Once the inner diagram is complete, rotate around the planet and draw in star veins and heaven and earth spiritual energy from the universe to complete the outer diagram. Reaching the grand perfection star-shattering stage through a total of 7 star body rituals is precisely the cultivation method of the star-shattering stage. From the star-shattering stage onwards, one's lifespan increases by tens of millions of years. Of course, that doesn't mean the star created will explode or scatter after 10 million years. Instead, if one cannot advance one's realm even after 10 million years, their soul will scatter throughout the universe and die, and only the satellites left by the esteemed one will remain drifting in space. Esteemed ones often describe this phenomenon as being devoured by the heavenly domain. I manifest as a human form incarnation within my body and look up at the sky. The star is still without a proper atmosphere, and the entire world is composed of jagged seas of glass. Microbes exist to some extent, but that's it. No traces of sentient beings are visible. I breathe above the star and feel the heaven and earth spiritual energy. Typical esteemed ones have stars the size of satellites and don't have many connected star veins. Therefore, the stars of typical esteemed ones don't have much heaven and earth spiritual energy, and those esteemed ones usually continue cultivating in the middle realms with the help of sacred masters to grow their incarnations using the heaven and earth spiritual energy of the middle realm. However, I realize that I don't need to do that. With so many star veins connected, and the planet itself being of a planetary scale, it is only slightly lacking in heaven and earth spiritual energy compared to the middle realms. At this level, I can quickly advance my realm without the help of a sacred master. Moreover, having already trained in the immortal art examination of doubts, and with the effects of understanding before breakthrough in place, I can cultivate far faster than other esteemed ones. Of course, since the sun and moon heavenly domain will meet its end in 10,000 years, it's meaningless. I organize various thoughts while moving forward. Surik, I suddenly disappear from above the star and arrive in front of a cave made of glass. Since the star is my own body, I can immediately go with my incarnation to any place I can think of on the star. Is everyone safe? I face my comrades who I had hidden within my star. In terms of time, it has been only a brief moment since we last saw each other, but it feels like it has been a very long time. Ah, Yun, what's going on? After regaining awareness in that strange world, we suddenly ended up in this bizarre place. And, the condition of these guys is a bit strange. Kim Young-hoon looks at me worriedly, and I look at my comrades. Hong Fan and Jaeon Myung-hoon are in an exhausted state, Kim Yeon is blinking at me, and Oh Yun-sok is slightly teary-eyed, though he's smiling. Jaeon Myung-hoon and Hong Fan are fine other than being exhausted. As for Yun-sok Hung Nim, I cried a bit having to part with my daughter for a while. It seems he accepted the child from the dream world as his own daughter. I give him a faint smile. It appears that he, too, has finally accepted his own heart. I then turn to Kim Yeon and speak. Yeon, are you alright? She just blinks. Yeon, she repeatedly opens and closes her mouth, then points at it. Kim Young-hoon lets out a sigh then speaks. I don't know what happened, but, it seems she lost her voice. What? I'm shocked and immediately send her a hard message. Kim Yeon, what on earth happened? Then, the hard message doesn't return. Kim Yeon, I approach her, flustered, and Kim Yeon gestures awkwardly at above. Could it be, the beings above are involved? Nod. Kim Yeon nods, and I let out a low groan and ask. Do you know how to use sign language by any chance? Kim Yeon shrugs. It seems she doesn't know sign language. Come to think of it, none of us had ever learned sign language in the first place. Does anyone have paper? Here, Oh Yun-sok pulls out paper from his domain, and I place a brush in front of her to let her write. Kim Yeon looks a little perplexed but then picks up the brush and writes something. I look at it and frown. What's this? What she wrote aren't any letters we recognize but are strange scribbles. It looks like the kind of messy scribble a 3-year-old would make while haphazardly holding a brush. However, Kim Yeon looks at me with a gaze asking, can you understand? It seems that, from her perspective, she's writing letters, but what's being expressed is entirely different. Then, can you draw something like a picture? Kim Yeon draws a picture on the paper. Fortunately, the picture turns out quite normal. In the picture, Kim Yeon is talking to something that resembles a large bird, and in the next scene, the bird pulls out Kim Yeon's tongue. I see. Understood. It seems Kim Yeon has had her word spirit sealed by some true immortal. We're getting involved with true immortals quite often. I sigh deeply and see Seo Ran clutching his head past Kim Yeon. Seo Ran is gripping his head and trembling, while Shiho stands beside him, supporting him with a concerned look. Seo Ran, what's going on with you? He speaks with a trembling voice. I don't know either, but for some reason, a woman keeps coming to mind. It's fine. Wu Wang. I synchronize Seo Ran's consciousness with the heaven and earth spiritual energy around him, stabilizing the energy itself and forcibly calming his mind for a moment. The others seem startled as they realize what I've done. I speak to my comrades. There's something I need to tell you all. I just recently, upon leaving that dream world, advanced to the star-shattering stage. As expected, Azure Tiger Saint nods as if expecting this, and the other comrades flinch in surprise. I explain the current situation and the place we're in to them. So, the star we suddenly fell onto, is your body. That's right. Wow, that's quite something. Kim Young-hoon sticks out his tongue, and Oh Yun-sok and Seo Ran both have very astonished looks in their eyes. I organize and clarify the current situation, and as I do, one thought crosses my mind. By the way, this situation. It feels strangely similar to the first day. You're right, it does. I look at the sky outside the cave. Since the atmosphere hasn't yet fully formed, the night sky of the universe is fully visible. Sharing conversation inside a cave. The mysterious world we've suddenly fallen into. It's just like the scene of our first day falling into this world. Ah, that's right, a lot has happened, but when I think about it, today is the first day of the 998th cycle. It hasn't even been a full day since the regression. Snap. To recreate the feeling of the first day we fell onto Ascension Path, I snap my fingers and start a fire. A flame emitting 7 colors arises inside the glass cave. Going forward, we will save Kong Min-hee. I continue to speak. I am not sure if you know this, but the universe we live in, the sun and moon heavenly domain, will be destroyed in 10,000 years. For us cultivators, 10,000 years is not a very long time. Therefore, I plan to find Kong Min-hee and together with her, either escape to another heavenly domain or find a way to survive even within the end. Explaining the plans from now, I look up at the starry sky. I have escaped from Blood Yin for now. I managed to escape the fate they imposed on me somehow thanks to the Sword Spear Heavenly Lord. Of course, I don't know what will happen if I regress again. Perhaps in the next life, I might not receive the help of the Sword Spear Heavenly Lord. No, it's better not to receive help if possible. Honestly, receiving help from that being this time was like escaping the fox only to meet the tiger. In the next life, it would be better not to receive any help at all. Of course, not receiving help would make it ever so hard to escape from the grasp of Blood Yin. Therefore, the number one goal of this life is, not to die. I set a few goals for this life. The first goal is simply, survival. The second goal is, searching for and rescuing Kong Min-hee. The third goal, since the end is imminent, is to head to the lightning sacred sea and retrieve the treasures Yang Su-jin stole from the Middle Realms. It's around when I set about 3 goals. Sway. I fall right there on the spot. Eun-yun, say, Senior, Kim Young-hoon, Kim Yeon, and Seo Ran rush to one after another. Wondering if something has gone wrong with my incarnation, I try to shift my consciousness back to the star side, but I soon realize that there is a serious problem. Splish, splash, something like black water begins flowing from my incarnation. This is. Realizing the nature of this fluid, I am extremely shocked. Death. It is, death energy, Qi, that has not only concentrated but has completely liquefied. I have thought about this before. If I die hundreds of times like this, might I not suddenly be dragged to the underworld and be taxidermized for eternity? But up until now, since there had been no response from the underworld through the senses of nether perception, I thought, it's still okay. I realize it was a misconception. I'm being dragged. I sense that my mind is being forcibly pulled towards an endless ashen world. No, how can this be? I just escaped from the jaws of Blood Yin. Why? I want to scream, but the power of death covers my mind and begins to submerge it. I can't even move my body, let alone twitch a finger. No. Please. As my consciousness fades, I see in that vast darkness, deep and immense beings gesturing towards me. No. The next moment, Hong Fan, who regained consciousness, yells something at Seo Ran, and Si Ran pulling out the nether crossing ship is the last. I completely lose consciousness. Where is this? It is ashen, yet, at the same time, it is not ashen. I suddenly become curious and look around. Is this a palace? The surroundings are that of a palace. Pillars that look like they are made of the same material as the nether crossing ship support the black palace, and I am sitting atop something that looks like an ashen carpet. Then, I am puzzled to see Seo Ran behind me. For some reason, Seo Ran is also sitting behind me, trembling like a quivering aspen tree and looking at something in total disbelief. That's when it happens. That child used the nether crossing ship to summon your consciousness here before it completely left the domain of light. I suddenly turn my gaze towards a being sitting on a throne deep within the palace. The being is a woman. Welcome, esteemed one CO. I thought we would meet, but I didn't expect it to be so soon. It's regrettable yet also fortunate. I feel endless energy emanating from the being in front of me and start sweating coldly. Who is the noble one, and where is this place? She smiles faintly at my question. This is the inner subspace of the Nether Ghost Realm's Sacred Master Hall. And I am the one who has taken the position of Sacred Master of the Nether Ghost Realm, Sacred Master Uo. Snap, she snaps her fingers, and a small table, teacups, and a teapot appear in front of me and CO Ran. Let's have some tea and share a conversation for a while, O Heavenly King Designate. Chapter 473, Hurt 1. Heavenly King Designate. I recall the words spoken about the Heavenly Kings long ago. Buddhist family 7 brilliances king. The concept of Heavenly Kings first emerged from Tae Yaljayan's mouth. The great 7 bodhisattvas that exist within the Buddhist family. Each of their names ends with the title, Heavenly King Tian Wang. Is that what she is referring to? I quickly ponder. Referring to me as a Heavenly King Designate, can it be considered as a certain point that the Enders, who are called Heavenly Kings, can reach? Even a brief consideration suggests that among the 7 brilliances kings, the Tridakna vast cold Heavenly King, who symbolizes unity, is the owner of the bright cold realm. The vast cold Heavenly Lord is the Heavenly King of unity. And from what I've heard from rumors so far, there's a high possibility that vast cold was also an Ender. Thus, her mention of Heavenly King Designate likely refers to another term for Enders. In a way, she is an entity who holds a clue about Enders. I must not be careless. I check my physical condition in case I need to resist Uo. My body is gone, and currently, only the soul remains. It seems I was temporarily dropped in front of Sacred Master Uo while my soul was being dragged to the Netherworld via the Nether Crossing ship. Thanks to that, I am merely a strong spirit entity, possessing just the consciousness domain of the star-shattering stage. It seems, I can't draw my main body's power through the All-Heaven's sword. While checking this space belonging to Uo, I click my tongue internally. Even if I try to bring the power of my main body by adjusting the plane, it feels like her space itself is sealed against such actions. I could escape using the realm of void shattering or immortal arts if necessary, but the extent of her power merged with the Nether Ghost realm is unknown. I cannot act rashly. After reaching void shattering, the reason I bared my fangs at Baek Woon was because she had suffered injuries at the hands of Yang Su Jin. At the same time, Jaeon Myung-hoon was by my side, capable of wielding Yang Su Jin's power whenever needed. That's why I felt I could take on Sacred Baek Woon in case of an emergency and was a bit aggressive. But, is she really the same Sacred Master? From Uo in front of me, I feel an inexplicable, ominous foreboding with no clear beginning or end. At the same time, I feel a certain sense of déjà vu, but I can't recall what it is. In any case, she's definitely not an entity to be taken lightly. I swallow hard and look at the tea before me. Judging from the faint scent of plums, it seems to be the Nether Ghost Realm's specialty, plum tea. Black plum. It's a seed born in the territory of the Nether Ghost Realm's Black Ghost Valley and is the most popular plum variety there. If a living person were to consume it, the sourness could cause a heart attack. Gulp. Not bad. After sipping the black plum tea, I alternately look at Sacred Master Uo and Co Ran. Thank you for offering such fine tea. It is I who should be thankful for you enjoying this humble tea. Originally, I wanted to personally brew a tastier tea, but under these circumstances, it's a pity. Haha, you are too modest. This tea is already excellent as it is. I am merely thankful for your excessive praise. Since the topic has come up, I would greatly appreciate it if you could help my friend Co Ran also enjoy this splendid tea. As I watch Co Ran trembling like an aspen tree, I speak. I wish you would ease the pressure on my friend a bit. Since he is still at the 4-axis stage, it seems difficult for him to bear the authority of a sacred master. While sipping the black plum tea, I respectfully ask Uo to lessen the pressure on Co Ran, keeping it within the lines of not upsetting her as much as possible. Then, Uo tilts her head with a puzzled expression. You are saying strange things. I haven't done anything to that child. It was that child who brought both the esteemed one and the child's own soul into the inner part of my palace through the power of the Nether Crossing ship. Meeting you two here was not my plan, and naturally, since it wasn't planned, there was no opportunity for me to play any tricks. I look at Co Ran. Inside this palace, Who knows what Yuo had done, but I can't read intent or heart essence. Then just why is this happening? Seo Ran, what's going on? However, Seo Ran trembles more like an aspen, seemingly unable to hear me at all. It seems there's an immortal art preventing mental fragmentation. Being too close to such a vast entity seems to have damaged the immortal art. That appears to be the cause. I recall when GWAKM struck Seo Ran's stomach and cast an immortal art. Could it be that the immortal art of Great Mountain was protecting his mind, and it cracked when encountering Blood Yin? Fortunately, it's an immortal art I know of, so I can mend it. Since meeting like this is also fate, I will mend it for you. Snap. Yuo flicks her finger and the attraction force around Seo Ran seems to change. Then he immediately regains his senses. Hyok, Hyok, Hyok. Are you okay, Seo Ran? Seo Ran trembles like an aspen tree before raising his head to look at Yuo. After staring at her for a moment, Seo Ran bites his lip tightly. Who is this person? This person is the sacred master of the Nether Ghost Realm, known as Yuo. In addition to that, I am currently the Palace Lord of the Azure Ghost Palace. I ask for your kind consideration, Junior Seo. She smiles warmly at Seo Ran, looking at his black robe. But the next moment, a completely unexpected word bursts from Seo Ran's mouth. Mother. Quote. Are you my mother? I feel a shock as if I've been hit on the back of my head, looking back and forth between Seo Ran and Yuo. What? This is, no, wait. Excluding the parts that look like Seo Ran's face seems to resemble Yuo. Still in utter shock, I alternate my gaze between the two. Yuo looks at Seo Ran with an expression that shows interest and speaks. What exactly is Sir Junior saying? Seo Ran replies with a bewildered face. Quote. When I reached the nascent soul stage, I also saw the moment I was born. It was too brief to see clearly, but I vividly remember my mother's face. I even asked my master to see a portrait of my mother. My mother's name is Yuo, a disciple from the Black Ghost Valley. Sacred Master shares the same name and appearance. He looks up at Yuo with a stunned expression. As Sacred Master, not my mother. To that, Sacred Master Yuo makes a thoughtful expression and says, I don't particularly have any children. However, it's possible for Yuo to have children. Pardon. Seo Ran and I stare at her, wondering what absurd thing she is saying. Then, Yuo suddenly turns her head. Eat, hiat, click, crack crack. Seo Ran and I cannot help but be shocked by her actions. She completely twisted her neck, turning her head 180 degrees. But what's even more shocking isn't just that. Quote. Exclamation mark. Quote. What is revealed where she has turned her neck is another Yuo. The face of the other Yuo appears to be peacefully sleeping with eyes closed. The high ones of the Nether Ghost Realm all know this, but the name Yuo has the meaning of the two of us. I have two faces and also two personalities. We also take turns, with one of us sleeping for several years while the other wakes up and becomes active. Creak. Yuo turns her head counterclockwise again so that her awake face is facing us. That is why the personality that is awake now, I have no children. But the other Yuo who is asleep right now, who knows? Then, is it possible to wake the other one up now? That would be difficult. Having two personalities and alternating between sleep and wake cycles every few years is due to my cultivation method. It's a method of balancing yin and yang with two faces to bring me closer to immortal arts. Waking her up suddenly today would take me further away from immortal arts. That, I understand. Seo Ran sighs deeply and lowers his head. Ho ho, someday you will be able to find your real family. Trust me, having two heads, I have double the intuition. Yuo kindly consoles Seo Ran, and while I am wondering why she's boasting about having only two heads, I suddenly realize I only have one head now and feel inferior, casting my eyes down slightly. Ahem, that's right, let's ask the other sacred master about your mother when she wakes up. Quote. Yes, I clear my throat and change the subject, and Yuo turns her gaze back to me. What is the relationship between the two of you? We are friends. Friends you say, I hope you get along well. By the way, I have a question. I take a sip of the black plum tea and ask her with a serious expression. What does Heavenly King designate mean? It's so very obvious, it refers to you all. You have a rough idea already, no? Heavenly rejected Tian Juzi, esteemed one CO. Quote. Exclamation mark quote. I flinch in shock at her words. CO Ran looks at me, puzzled, not knowing what heavenly rejected means, and I stiffen my face and heighten my tension as I continue with my question. Does heavenly rejected being a heavenly king mean, the 7 brilliances kings are referring to, us 7? Yes. Even the Tridakna vast cold heavenly king, the vast cold heavenly lord, was famous for calling upon the heavens in their distant youth during the chi refining stage's 7 stars ritual. Quote. Quote. It seems she's indirectly telling me that the vast cold heavenly lord, the 7 brilliances kings, are enders. As you well know, the 7 brilliances kings are those that embody the hearts of beings. And you all, the 7 heavenly rejected, are the candidates who are bound to become such heavenly kings. Therefore, studying the heart is inevitably essential for the 7 brilliances kings. Although it has been a short time so far, have you been studying the heart well? Short time, huh, I've only lived about 700, or maybe 800 years, but I don't think it was that short of a time. Ho ho, time isn't what's important. What matters more is what kind of heart you have experienced during that time. From what I see, esteemed one seems to have studied the heart unexpectedly well. I'm saying this because I can sense the traces of immortal arts. I merely had the fortune to meet a good master and learn well. Yuo's eyes sparkle as she questions me. I'm suddenly curious. I know you've only recently been promoted to esteemed one, but how can I feel the traces of the immortal art examination of doubts? Which master did you meet and where did you study? I merely met a good master and studied at a good place. Of course, as I am not as exceptional as Sacred Master Yuo, so I dare not raise my head. At my words, Yuo takes a sip of black plum tea and her eyes shine. It seems you have no intention of telling me. This is a bit difficult to say, but, are we not meeting for the first time today? Unless it is a matter of utmost importance, I cannot casually disclose my master's name. Meeting for the first time, huh? Haha, well, good. So you're saying we need to build a closer relationship. She sets down her teacup and speaks. Then let me tell you an interesting story about the heavenly kings one know. How about building a closer relationship while listening to this? What kind of story is it? Chururuk. Yuo pours more black plum tea and smiles. Then, I can't help but be startled by the words that come from her mouth. Falling into a strange world, falling in love, inevitably losing that loved one, and, through them realizing one's own fate, a story about some moths. I'll tell you the beginning, development, twist, and conclusion. Quote. Quote. It's obvious. The moth she is talking about refers to us. And I can instantly see something strange in her words. If you think about it, aren't they all similar? Kim Young-hoon, Jaeon Myung-hoon, Kong Min-hee, Oh Yun-sok, Kim Yeon. Regarding Oh Hai-seo, I just can't get a good grasp on her as a person. They have all been separated from a loved one. In the case of Kim Young-hoon, it was even his wife. Why are they similar? I feel an eerie sense of déjà vu as I focus on the story emerging from Yuo's mouth. I will begin the story. A very long time ago, there lived a monster called Obsidian. Chapter 474, Her 2. Once upon a time, in the distant past, an entity named Obsidian fell upon this land. This being could not comprehend the thoughts of people. It could not comprehend any taste, nor could it understand any pleasure. It only felt a slight excitement when eating according to physical responses, sleeping when sleepy, and mating when in heat. Nothing else could move Obsidian's heart. At some point, Obsidian felt that it was a being devoid of its own soul. Therefore, it wanted to fill that missing part. And, it realized that to fill that missing part, it had no choice but to elevate its own spiritual realm through immortal cultivation. It began to practice immortal cultivation. Obsidian consumed animals. Initially, it ate livestock, but later it ate wild beasts, birds, and fish. Then it devoured people. Then it ate ghosts, and after that, it ate spirits. Having grown stronger by consuming demon spirits, mountains, fields, and seas, Obsidian eventually became a monster capable of devouring the sun, moon, stars, and even light. At that point, Obsidian realized, no matter how strong it became, the missing part inside its heart was not filled. Even at the pinnacle of immortal cultivation, that depleted part could not be filled. Then, Obsidian realized the reason. Before it could supplement the lacking part of its soul through immortal cultivation, its existence had grown too large. It was like regenerating a body without healing its scars. The power it had consumed was so great that it suppressed the heart, making it so it could no longer recover. Therefore, Obsidian made a decision to abandon all its authority and return to the beginning. Thus, Obsidian used the ability it received when it first came to this world. That ability was reincarnation, Hai Sheng. Without the constraints of the underworld, it could reincarnate at will. That was the authority it brought when it came to this world. Through reincarnation, Obsidian abandoned all its authority and was reborn as a normal human baby. And, Obsidian imposed restrictions on itself while reincarnating. It arranged for its future self to suffer. It arranged for its future self to undergo hardships and gain enlightenment on the true heart, gaining ultimate power. Obsidian vowed, I will, for 777 lifetimes, stand only on my hands upside down and chant the mantra symbolizing flawlessness. Thus, it reincarnated, and in the next life, as soon as it was conceived in a woman's body, it crippled its own legs. Born unable to use its legs, it walked on its hands, chanting the flawless mantra Wu Kei Zhen Yan for its entire life. People called Obsidian mad. They also called it a pitiful bastard, insulted it for its ominous muttering, and some even tried to hang it to death. In its first incarnation, Obsidian was stoned to death by people. In the second incarnation, it again stood on its hands and chanted the mantra. 777 lifetimes passed like so. Having spent 777 lifetimes standing on its hands chanting the flawless mantra, Obsidian obtained overwhelming power worthy of being called a divine among divines. There was no being in the entire universe that could oppose Obsidian, and except for the two gods who created the wheel, no one did not tremble before it. TL. The wheel means the wheel on a cart, in other words, the cartwheel. Yet, Obsidian thought, it still had not filled the missing part in its heart. Thus, Obsidian went to the two gods who were not afraid of it. The gods of the wheel and the axis. It asked them just how it could find the missing part of itself. The god of the wheel said this. To commit suicide before them and rest for a long time. To rest for an almost eternal period within their domain and soothe its weary soul. The god of the axis said this. If it brought the most precious and valuable thing in the 3,000 great thousand worlds to them, they would tell it the method. Following the words of the god of the axis, Obsidian searched for the most valuable thing in the world. But even after a long time, it could not understand what the most valuable thing was. Eventually, Obsidian thought, since my body and authority have become the most dreadful weapon in the 3,000 great thousand worlds, I will cut off my body and bring it to them. I will cut off my lower half and bring it to the god of the axis, and then I will walk on my hands upside down again. It reached a single small world and began to carve off its lower body. With a sharp knife, it cut off its lower half, washed it in the river until it was clean, and repeated the process of flaying off its own lower half. Eventually, Obsidian almost completely flayed its lower body. And as Obsidian was flaying the last flesh of its lower half and moaning in pain, it met a girl by the riverbank. The girl gave the suffering Obsidian a remedy and handed it a bowl of milk porridge. Caught off guard, Obsidian inadvertently scooped up the milk porridge and was struck by a lightning-like shock. For the first time in 777 lifetimes, it wept uncontrollably over the taste it experienced, burying its head in the milk porridge. Ravenously licking the milk porridge, Obsidian pleaded with the girl to please just give it one more plate like this milk porridge. The girl gladly gave it a plate, and Obsidian, upon eating that rice porridge, felt satisfaction for the first time and also gratitude. With tears streaming down its face, it decided to repay this grace by following the girl while standing on its hands, blessing her for a lifetime. However, seeing a monster without a lower body following the girl while standing upside down, everyone looked at the girl strangely, and she felt embarrassed. But the kind-hearted girl, despite feeling embarrassed, did not chase Obsidian away. Instead, she brought a baby blanket and carried the upside-down Obsidian on her back. From that day on, Obsidian accompanied the girl. For the first time in a long while, Obsidian, being close to the ground but not standing upside down, could look directly at the world. Accompanying the girl, it experienced anew the countless beauties and precious things of the world. And one morning, waking up while sleeping together with the girl, it finally understood what the most valuable thing in the world, as mentioned by the god of the axis, was. The most valuable thing did not exist. Because everything in this world, as long as it has a heart, is too precious to be valued. It realized why the milk porridge the girl gave it on the first day was delicious. It must have been because it was the first, pure kindness, it had received in this world. Realizing this, it wept. At the same time, it realized it had fallen in love with the girl and, after regrowing its lower body, it shared a bed with her. It finally felt its depleted soul was filled. It had understood the meaning of its existence in this world. After happily hugging his wife, he left briefly for a distant world to gather the remnants he had shed over 777 lifetimes to make her a god. And the very next day, when Obsidian returned with a gift for his wife, he found her dead, bitten by a snake. Snake, I ask you, oh. Obsidian, who had become a being that could control the heavens and the earth, allowed his wife to be killed by something like a snake. I'm not sure myself. It might be a metaphor for something poisonous or, perhaps a metaphor for some treacherous being among the heavenly kings. I wasn't there, so I don't know exactly. Obsidian had sealed off that entire dimension, preventing beings like me from even coming close, so how could I know the true circumstances of that time? I see. If you're satisfied, let's continue the story. Obsidian wept bitterly over his dead wife. At the same time, he finally understood the identity of what had been missing in his heart. It was desire, Galgu Kechu. TL. More specifically, a very strong and deep desire craving. To realize desire, he had devoured countless suns, moons, and stars, and inflicted pain on himself over 777 lifetimes. But he finally understood the true meaning of desire. He always knew, before and after reincarnation, that he would not be utterly annihilated, so he had never truly desired for anything wholeheartedly. But now, he started to desire wholeheartedly. For the outside of the 3,000 great thousand worlds. For his homeland, if it was the world of the Undyings, his wife would not have died. Having been fundamentally undying since he first fell to this world, Obsidian, who had never known any anxiety or fear, finally understood death, painfully. Finally, he made his resolve to burn all of himself, who had never even come close to death, and leave this world. No, leaving was not the end. He decided to bring salvation to the world. To bring salvation to this world and bring it to his homeland, the world of Undyings, to free all beings from the terror of death. Obsidian activated an immortal art that would swallow all phenomena. At the same time, he sought out an ominous place during the activation of the immortal art, fell its gatekeeper, and headed beyond. To leave while taking everything from this world. To liberate everyone in this world from fear, anxiety, and the so-called fate. Thus, he disappeared beyond the ominous world. That concludes the tale of Obsidian, also known as the Obsidian Devil Heavenly King, one of the 7 Brilliances Kings. I listened to the story of the Obsidian Devil Heavenly King and let out a sigh. Setting aside his terrifying deeds. Do you not know the story beyond this? I do not know either. That person's story ends here. And furthermore, she laughs. The end of the stories for all heavenly kings are very much alike. The same for the vast cold heavenly lord, and the same for the golden divine. Ultimately, they all return to the most ominous place in the entire 3,000 great thousand worlds, the place that has remained intact since time. Immemorial, enduring countless ends, they return to the head realm. By the way, how do you feel about it? She pours tea as she speaks. It's a story about fate. In the beginning, Obsidian falls into a strange world and continues his cultivation. In the development, he meets a loved one and learns about the heart. In the twist, he inevitably loses his loved one. And in the conclusion, he reaches enlightenment on a truth that permeates his entire life. In other words, he realizes his fate. This is the story of Obsidian. Was it a bit interesting to you? Setting interest aside, it's a bit unpleasant to hear. I make a slightly bitter expression. Feeling a bitter taste in my mouth, I gulp down black plum tea to wash it away and say. The phrase, beginning, development, twist, and conclusion, feels as if the life of the existence known as Obsidian itself is like a section of a novel. It's somewhat uncomfortable. If you find the words uncomfortable, there is another expression. How about heavenly circle? Heavenly circle. She smiles faintly. The formula of the heavenly circle used when rising to the heavenly circle stage. You must know about the formula of the heavenly circle stage, right? Yes, well, I know as much as others do. In the formula of the heavenly circle, there are spring, summer, autumn, winter, the 4 seasons. Doesn't thinking of it as spring, summer, autumn, winter rather than beginning, development, twist, conclusion make it a little less unpleasant? Every being lives through the spring, summer, autumn, and winter of life, and acknowledging that is the end of the minor boundary, the heavenly circle stage. To be born, spring, to grow, summer, to mature, autumn, to lie down, winter, and in the end, to be grateful to fate and peacefully fall asleep under the heavens, acceptance at fate's end. This is the truth realized by everyone in the minor boundary. It's just that I personally prefer the term beginning, development, twist, conclusion, and that's why I use it. Her words continue. So, how do you feel about it, Heavenly King Designate Esteemed One CO? Quote. Heavenly King Designate. Her words suggest that I, too, will inevitably experience such a fate. No, I've already experienced it. I think back to the 10th cycle and smile bitterly. In fact, if I hadn't met Buk Hyung-hwa at the end of the 10th cycle, or if I hadn't properly handled Yuan Li, I don't know what would have become of me. A fate of falling in love and inevitably parting with them. Isn't that such a cruel fate? Feeling bitter, I speak. So you're saying this is the inevitable fate that all the 7 brilliances kings, that is, all the heavenly kings, go through. Then, the heavenly rejected who have experienced this fate are all called heavenly kings. Yuo shakes her head to my question. There are 2 conditions to be called a heavenly king. 2 conditions. Yes. The first is, as I just mentioned, to undergo the fate of spring, summer, autumn, winter, the beginning, development, twist, conclusion, and come to know their fate. The second is, to reach the extreme limit, the pinnacle of true immortality. Those who meet these 2 conditions are called heavenly kings, and the heavenly rejected bearing the title of heavenly kings, in truth. Yuo glances at Seo Ran briefly before speaking. Can become one of the most distinguished beings even among the true immortals. Receive the treatment of heavenly venerables. Perhaps worried that Seo Ran might melt like candle wax, she whispers the information about governing immortals to me alone via voice transmission. I swallow a gulp. So, a heavenly king is a kind of special governing immortal. Tingle. At that moment, I suddenly recall the beings I saw in the Tangwa at Grand Nirvana Temple and understand the full extent of what I felt then. So, that's it. The feeling of being real entities I got from those Tangwa was because the heavenly kings in the Tangwa were essentially enders who had reached the level of governing immortals. Chills. Feeling that realization, I suddenly instinctively sense a crisis. Hiat. I suddenly stand up, ready for the shock, but Yuo and Seo Ran just look at me strangely. Nothing particular happens. Did you not like the tea much? No, it's not that. I feel puzzled about how to explain it. You receive a shock when perceiving governing immortals. Of course, after perceiving several times, resistance develops to some extent. But if there is a completely new being perceived, the shock is felt without any resistance. However, the existence of governing immortals itself is not shocking. For example, the light warned by Yang Su Jin, and the owner of Great Mountain each govern light and mountains respectively. Yet, ordinary humans do not melt like candle wax simply by seeing light or climbing a mountain. Light and mountains are within the domain of the governing immortals, but humans typically do not perceive that far. Since they are unaware of their true nature, there is no significant issue in seeing light or mountains. However, what if those who know the true nature of light or the owner of Great Mountain see such things? Every time they see it, they get shocked. If I hadn't gone crazy once in the past and hadn't developed resistance from recognizing governing immortals too many times, I would have gone mad long ago. But, being mad or developing resistance does not mean one stops being shocked by governing immortals. If someone who has never built up any resistance hears about governing immortals like the 7 brilliances kings and recalls them, they would naturally experience great shock and pain. But, why am I all right? I ponder for a moment before asking. Perceiving true immortals causes a great shock to the mind. But recalling the mentioned 7 brilliances kings, seems fine to me. She looks into her black plum tea for a moment and says. The reason for receiving shock when perceiving true immortals is because of wisdom. Wisdom, yes. When a mediocre being directly faces a vastly superior being, they gain profound wisdom. From now on, ordinary chi building and core formation cultivators will be able to gain the wisdom of condensing stars when directly facing esteemed one Seo's main body. Most formulas for the next stages are obtained in that manner. Quote. I let out a low groan. Now I too have become a being that imparts some knowledge merely by perceiving my main body. Moreover, beings too weak cannot even accept that wisdom and end up exploding and dying. For example, what would happen to a slave race that lacks even the consciousness domain, if they were to embody the sense of using the consciousness domain to identify planes and draw heaven and earth energy from hundreds of li? Quote. Their heads would explode and die. Probably the same would happen to the chi refining stage, not just the slave race. Beings of lower realms cannot comprehend the dimensions inhabited by beings of higher realms. For example, on paper, if one tries to explain a 3D apple to a 2D picture, drawn in black and white by smearing apple juice on it, what would happen? Naturally, the picture would either melt or become a mess. In this way, knowledge about higher dimensional beings can be so powerful it could melt lower dimensional beings. You understand? Well, that's right. Ultimately, the reason lower dimensional beings are shocked upon seeing higher dimensional beings is wisdom. Directly facing true immortals grants wisdom, and one melts away because they cannot handle that wisdom. Moreover, while one receives a shock from facing true immortals, there is one reason for being safe even after knowing the reality of the 7 brilliances kings. What is that reason? Then, Yuo's next statement makes me shiver. The owner does not allow it. Pardon, exactly as said, the existence of the 7 brilliances kings, their reality, and the vast wisdom their existence harbors. The names of the 7 brilliances kings itself are tightly bound to the being currently owning them, so even if one calls their names and knows their reality, they cannot receive the wisdom. It does not cause shock at all. Quote. Are you saying the ownership of the names of the 7 brilliances kings is with someone? Exactly. I quietly gaze at my teacup. Thinking about it, even if Yongsu Jin has been extinguished, he was a true immortal. Yet, there are more than a few who call his real name and title, and I too have shouted Yongsu Jin's name numerous times and was fine. Calling the name of an existence like Yongsu Jin and remaining unharmed. It's because someone strongly holds the ownership of Yongsu Jin's name, so calling it has no effect. Then, I think of a being as if struck by lightning. Yongsu Jin said, "Something is searching for us." In the recesses of my mind, the stories I've heard thus far merge into a single thread. The ominous land called the Head Realm. The being that is searching for us. The tale of Obsidian. The tale of the vast cold heavenly lord. The last moments of Yongsu Jin. The being that holds the ownership of the names of Enders. The mountain summit. 33rd heaven. Audience chamber. I have heard from Sacred Master Baekwoon why the Head Realm is called the ominous land. She said that the vast cold heavenly lord along with other great beings reached out to the Head Realm and died, making the Head Realm ominous. However, according to the words of Sacred Master Yuo, even when the being called Obsidian was alive, the Head Realm was considered ominous. That seems to be the case. Quote. Then, regardless of the reason the Head Realm is ominous that Sacred Master Baekwoon spoke of, it would seem that the very nature of the Head Realm has been ominous from the beginning. If so, I recall the sinister guess that just occurred to me and swallow my saliva. It's not a problem with the shape of the Head Realm or what surrounds it. It's because there is something considered ominous in the Head Realm. Gal He, Jing. In an instant, Sacred Master Yuo accelerates her consciousness domain, lifting her consciousness to the domain of immortals and bursts out in a lion's roar. I vomit blood along with a ringing in my head. Heuk, Hyuk, Shish. Suddenly appearing before me, Yuo places her finger on her lips. Do not speak carelessly. Don't you know, it's hard to retrieve spilled water. Quote. I cover my mouth and slowly nod. I received Yuo's help. Just now, I had no thoughts of speaking out loud about that existence. However, as soon as the truth that there is something in the Head Realm occurred to me, my mouth moved on its own. Thank goodness, I think while covering my mouth. But at the same time, I gain a certainty. The reason the Head Realm is called ominous is not just because of the vast cold heavenly lord and their friends. There is someone or something ominous residing there. It's such a terrifying existence to the point that my mouth moved on its own just by inferring that such a being exists. Yuo briefly makes eye contact with me and speaks. You will probably understand more clearly why the Head Realm is ominous when you become a true immortal. There's no need to know now. After all, no matter how much you think about it now, you won't even be able to guess. Quote. Thank you for the advice. It's nothing. By the way, Yuo looks up at the ceiling and says. Quote. Your comrades seem to be doing their best to save Esteemed One Seo. It appears they are exerting all their efforts to bring back Esteemed One Seo's consciousness from this world. Startled, I look upwards. Certainly, I seem to hear my comrades' voices coming from some distant place. Yuo looks down at me for a moment and then, regretfully, takes 3 steps back. It seems this is as far as we go. Originally, there was a place I intended to take Esteemed One Seo, but a distinguished guest has arrived at my residence. I must attend to the guest, so I shall let you go for today. Please return to your comrades. Snap. Yuo snaps her fingers, and the surrounding scenery begins to distort. I realize that Yuo is about to expel us back outside. Wang. At the same time, I feel attraction force from two places. I sense the aura held by the attraction forces and discern the locations of the two places. One side is a dark place. Deep and yet deeper. It's the underworld. And from the other side, I feel the aura of Hong Fan and the Nether crossing ship. That way leads to the world of the living. I stand up, intending to go where the Nether crossing ship's aura is felt together with Co Ran. Thank you for your hospitality today. I hope there will be another day to drink tea together. I bow to her in respect. Yuo's eyes flash for a moment. I too look forward to the day we meet again. She shows a bright smile that she has not shown until now. Before being expelled from Yuo's palace, I suddenly ask her something that I'm curious about. By the way, does Sacred Master know of a way to remove the death energy that has accumulated in the soul? The death energy has become so concentrated that it liquefied and is flowing out, pulling me towards the underworld. As this is also a problem that I must solve, I ask her. Hearing my question, she responds incredulously. You're asking me, the Palace Lord of the Azure Ghost Palace, which guides the deceased to the netherworld, to teach you a heaven-defying art that allows one that must die to avoid death. Haha, think of it as building a closer relationship and please tell me. I remember when Yuo told me the story of Obsidian to build a closer relationship and decide to give it a try. Well, I don't expect much. If it violates the rules of the Black Ghost Palace, she probably won't. In that case, I'll give you a clue. Really giving it? However, I too am making a big decision by giving this to you, so please answer the question I asked earlier about Esteemed One Co. Who Esteemed One Co's master is, where you trained immortal arts, so on. Since you have shared a lot of information with me, I will tell Sacred Master who I studied under. Good, then I will tell you right away. It's a formula for ridding death energy. When Taiji unites, the three ultimates, Sanji, will circulate. If you think carefully about this formula, it will be of great assistance in softening the death energy. Thank you. My master's name is. I open my mouth. Salt, Xian. The next moment, pot, in front of my eyes is Hong Fan. Master, are you okay? We barely managed to bring back Master's consciousness. Oh, dear, I click my tongue. I couldn't give the name. What to do now? Pardon, what does that mean? It's nothing, Hong Fan. Thanks for pulling me back like this. It's all thanks to Sir Co Ran. I just assisted Sir Co Ran a bit in operating the Nether crossing ship. I laugh at Hong Fan's modesty and clear my head. It seems I will be busy sorting out the thoughts in my head tonight. Inside the palace from which Co Eun-yun had just left, the figure of her who was there begins to distort. The essence of her, who just shared a story with Co Eun-yun, begins to be revealed and causes the entire space to fluctuate. The attraction force she possesses causes the area to crumble. Having revealed her presence, she returns to the deepest part of the palace. She sits down where her throne is located. With one hand supporting her head, she looks somewhere inside the crumbling palace. Just then, from somewhere, someone pops out. It's a figure of a person dressed in neat black clothes. He crosses the crumbling palace and stands before her, saying, "What wicked scheme are you plotting in the Saha world this time?" As she twitches her eyes, the being in front of her steps back, looking up at her with a slightly humiliated expression. "I will see how long you can remain so leisurely. I have almost reached you now, so be alert." Having finished speaking, he turns his back and leaves from in front of her. She watches the being who just left from inside the palace and lets out a small sneer. The being who just left. To the one Co Eun-yun calls Hyeong Gui. Translator notes. Obsidian Demon Heavenly King to Obsidian Devil Heavenly King. 475. I sit down and organize the information given by Yuo. First, Enders will eventually become Heavenly Kings. Moreover, in the Buddhist family, Enders who have become Heavenly Kings are referred to as the Seven Brilliances Kings and are used as a target point for cultivation. According to Tae Yaljaeon's explanation, the Seven Brilliances Kings are actually bodhisattvas who personify human emotions. Emotions, the study of the heart. I suddenly think of immortal arts. Are Enders some beings related to the essence of immortal arts? Why exactly have we fallen into this world? And why are we meant to return to the head realm? Why have each of us been granted a peculiar ability? Thinking about this won't give me any answers. In any case, Enders are heavenly kings. And since heavenly kings are related to emotions, we too might be connected to this thing called emotions. That's all that's been revealed so far. I organize more information. Obsidian was an ender, and he too met a tragic end. During the story of Obsidian, I recall the story about the snake. At Salt Mountain, it was made sure so a snake couldn't enter that world, and the owner of names stepped forward to make a promise. Hyonium, that is, blood yin, said the black snake was ominous and forbade the use of related symbols. Even in Obsidian's story, a snake happened to bite and kill his wife. What exactly is the snake? I look at Hong Fan for a moment and ask. Hong Fan, do you have any thoughts when I mention snake? Since there had been many incidents related to snakes around Hong Fan, it's natural for me to ask him. Hong Fan seems to stroke his beard and then says. A snake, you say? Snake, I'm not sure, but traditionally, snakes have often been used as symbols of wisdom. Wisdom, that's true. Patience and wisdom, rebirth and good fortune are what snakes symbolize. In some places, they are considered ominous, but surprisingly, the snake is actually seen as a good omen. Then, what do you think about legends where the characters suffer misfortune because of a snake? Is that also related to wisdom? I believe a snake is, in a sense, a type of poison. Poison, yes. In reality, there's no such thing as poison in this world. It's just that some substances do not suit certain living beings, while they do suit others. Moreover, many living beings take substances unsuitable for themselves, dilute them, and use them as medicine. In short, the distinction between poison and medicine is determined only by the dosage, whether it is excessive or not. There is no such thing as a true poison. His explanation continues. Since Hong Fan has surpassed me in the matter of poison, his words make quite a bit of sense. I, too, had used poison at one point, so I understand his explanation well. Isn't wisdom the same? An appropriate level of wisdom benefits a being. But excessive wisdom always turns into a remedy worse than poison. It drives one mad to the point where their head might explode too. That's exactly right. The snake symbolizes wisdom. Therefore, if a character in a myth suffers misfortune due to a snake, it might be a metaphor for peeking into a wisdom beyond their capacity, leading them to receive retribution because they couldn't handle it. Quote. I see. I find Hong Fan's explanation quite credible. The moment a being perceives the name or essence of a true immortal, they are inevitably shocked. Yuo said this happens because they are receiving wisdom by facing a being higher than themselves. If it's a being that can handle the wisdom they receive, they remain unaffected, but those who are too fragile to bear it end up bursting and dying. And in the world of Salt Mountain, where there is a myth about preventing snakes from entering, even uttering the name of a governing immortal level being wasn't a problem. Combining the words of Hong Fan and Yuo, the phrase preventing snakes from entering coincides with blocking the wisdom of a being who has reached the plane of fate from reaching. Since Hong Fan's explanation naturally connects the events in the world of Salt Mountain with what Yuo said, I nod. Certainly, there is truth in what you said. After nodding, I step outside the cave and climb to a spot on a glass mountain, where I sit in a lotus position. Hong Fan follows, checking if I need anything. Is your body truly fine now, Master? Yes. In fact, too much power of death has accumulated in my soul, so I'm trying to solve that. Fortunately, I received a formula from a sacred master to dispel the death aura. I tell Hong Fan about the formula I received from Yuo. With Hong Fan's help, I should be able to dispel the power of death more effectively. If it's a genius like him, he would likely catch any subtle tricks she might have tried to pull that I hadn't noticed. After hearing the formula I got from Yuo, Hong Fan nods calmly. It seems like a very good formula. For now, it doesn't appear harmful to Master. It will help ensure Master isn't suddenly dragged to the underworld. Oh, is that what you think? Yes. The formula for the Taiji and 3 ultimates is especially useful for living beings. It doesn't turn into a death formula by combining the two. At least for this formula, there doesn't seem to be any trap, so it might be worth practicing. Alright, thank you for your opinion. It's only natural. Then, since Master needs to examine the formula, I'll step away for a bit. Hong Fan bows to me and then goes down the glass mountain. I watch the back of his head for a moment. His black hair has increased. Is it because he has reached the integration stage? Hong Fan looks a bit younger. He now looks like an old man in his late 60s. If he reaches the star-shattering stage, it'll be early 60s. At the sacred vessel stage, late 50s. At the entering nirvana stage, early 50s. When he becomes a true immortal, will he look to be in his 40s? From true immortal and above, the human form no longer holds much meaning, so I don't know, but I suddenly wonder how much younger Hongfan will get. It's quite intriguing. It seems he had a special past life. When he reaches the limit of how young he can get, will he receive memories of his past life? If that happens, will Hongfan still be the same Hongfan I know? Single quote. Enough. Let's stop the useless thoughts. When Taiji unites, the three ultimates will circulate, huh? I shake my head as I think about the formula. Taiji and three ultimates. Something immediately comes to mind. Wo Wang. I send my incarnation into the sky. The incarnation quickly pierces through the sky and reaches outer space. Kugugugugu. Void shattering. Heaven path method. Earth path method. Now, they have all risen to the same realm. Wing. Colorless sword mountain treading sea great star. From the first star, the heavenly rain great star, attraction force converges towards me. The realm of void shattering. The power of a star on the plane of soul intertwines with the power of a star on the plane of chi. Simultaneously, the attraction force of fate draws a circle behind me. Pot. The three great ultimates rotate, and an immense power starts to boil within the incarnation. Incredible. I stick out my tongue, savoring the unprecedented, colossal energy that begins to amplify within me. Do. Power itself boils over, shaking the entire surrounding cosmic space. What level of power is this? I recall the star-shattering esteemed ones I have met so far. In the case of Zhang Ik, he seems to have a hidden move, so I've ruled him out from the beginning. As for the esteemed ones of the Blood Yin realm, for those like Sui Ryong or Gu Qian, with this level of power, I could beat them to death 1 against 2. Of course, this is the minimum estimate. I still don't quite know how strong I've become, so I am just roughly gauging it. Moreover, all of this is under the assumption of simply beating them down with raw strength, without using martial techniques. If I add martial techniques along with spells and immortal arts, and with the 7 artificial stars of the Mad Lord, I nod my head. It seems I won't lose even against the Blood Yin realm's 7 great esteemed ones of an era. Kugugugu. I observe the overflowing power and frown. Being able to face the 7 great esteemed ones aside, there's still no particular response from the death energy. Even when I rotate the 3 great ultimates, I don't feel any particular effect on the death energy, and I frown. Nothing has changed. When Taiji unites, 3 ultimates circulate. I stop rotating the 3 great ultimates and ponder what Yuo meant by Taiji. Thinking about it in the simplest terms, it's water and fire. Yin and Yang, pairs of things that stand in complete opposition. Since Yuo is the sacred master of the Nether Ghost realm, from her perspective, what would stand in complete opposition? I ponder for a moment, then, to think from Yuo's point of view, I activate Crystal Glass to Treading Sea. Crystal Glass to Treading Sea. Twin flowers reaching the heavens, Shuanghua Zhangtian. Whoosh. A glass-colored flame rises in both of my hands. One side has a dark, obsidian-like light, and the other has a pure white, quartz-like light. All the methods I have learned so far have now merged into Crystal Glass to Treading Sea. The white, Orchid Blessing Incantation and Yin Soul Ghost Incantation have also merged into Crystal Glass to Treading Sea, taking their place within me. The innate true method, Crystal Glass to Treading Sea, is based fundamentally on the fire known as Glass True Fire. It is a flame that burns based on my memories of suffering, and anyone touched by the Glass True Fire experiences a part of the pain I've endured, without exception. At the same time, those touched by the Glass True Fire start losing their cultivation to it as they experience this pain. Of course, if they can maintain their sanity in the midst of pain and accept the suffering, it's possible not to lose their cultivation, but that's impossible for most beings. This is the result of combining the characteristics of the Yin Soul Ghost Incantation and Great Desert to Dead Sea. Moreover, whatever enters the flames of pain is completely melted down, adding to the Glass True Fire, making Crystal Glass to Treading Sea even stronger. The Glass True Fire of Crystal Glass to Treading Sea looks like a flame, but it also possesses the properties of glass, solidifying into glass when it cools. Specifically, it is the process where the painful memories burning at the plane of soul, and my clear mind deeper within, descends to the plane of chi as it cools, turning into glass. In any case, this Glass True Fire ultimately encapsulates my mind. Thus, by infusing my memories and mind, it could, in theory, manifest everything I've experienced. Warurururuk. Curses and blessings. The spirits of yin and yang are contained within the Glass True Fire in both hands. They resemble a black flower and a white flower. I activate twin flowers reaching the heavens, trying to embody the same state as UO by activating nether perception. Pot. As soon as I activate nether perception, I can feel an immense world of death beckoning me. Don't be careless. One wrong move and I'll be sucked right in. I struggle not to be sucked into the world of death with all my might, observing the curses and blessings in my hands from the outskirts of the netherworld. Curses and blessings, from the vision of nether perception, both are colorless. There's no distinction between the two, so what difference would uniting them make? I merge the two glass true fires into one. From the vision of nether perception, it's just two colorless flames merging into one. It's just colorless with no change, huh? My eyes suddenly widen as I stare at the glass true fire. The colorless flame, formed by the union of yin and yang's curses and blessings, is pulling the death energy within me. The colorless Wu Sei pulls in the black Heisei, drawing the Taiji. When Taiji unites, the three ultimates circulate. I turn off nether perception and look at the phenomenon unfolding before my eyes in reality. Yin soul flower and white orchid flower. Within the glass true fire, where the two flames are mixed, a dark power of death burns alongside them. Qi. However, the union of the three energies doesn't last long. The energy of blessings and curses fades, and the power of death returns back into my body. This is it. When Taiji unites, the three ultimates circulate. From the perspective of death, both blessings and curses, yin and yang, as long as they belong to the domain of life, are all colorless. And the colorless that forms when blessings and curses merge symbolizes life, and the forces of life and death once again draw the Taiji. When viewed in reality, it looks as if three energies are circulating. It looks like three ultimates, but it's actually Taiji drawn from the power of two energies mixed together with the power of death. Understanding Yuo's words, I close my eyes and draw the three great ultimates. Insert yin and yang of the heaven path and earth path to create colorless. Correspond void shattering to death to create black. As I do this, the three great ultimates begin to circulate without me needing to rotate them. Pot. At the same time, I feel the power of death within me rapidly being drawn into the three great ultimates. The speed of the three great ultimates is even faster than when I forcibly rotate them. The rate of power amplification increases. If it's like this, I grin. If it's just an ordinary sacred vessel stage without a middle realm, I might truly be able to contend with them. Pissed. However, there's a slight issue with the three great ultimates created in this manner. Perhaps it's because death inherently possesses the characteristic of stillness Jing. The three great ultimates, having absorbed my death energy, eventually lets the aura die down, and the death energy returns to my body again. While there isn't a significant change in the cultivation itself, it seems that the three great ultimates obtained this way provide a higher rate of amplification in exchange for not being able to last for a long time. Ultimately, instead of resolving the death energy, it's a method that temporarily detaches the death energy from my body to amplify my power. Of course, if I keep circulating the three great ultimates non-stop, theoretically, I wouldn't be dragged to the netherworld. But that's it. I would have to live my entire life constantly activating the three great ultimates just to barely avoid being pulled into the netherworld. For now, I need to find a more fundamental solution than what UO has given me. I sigh, using the star vein to set my direction towards the lightning sacred sea, and slowly start using the ground shrinking technique. The new three great ultimates that rotates driven by the aura of death. I rotate the death path Dao, three great ultimates again to further separate death from myself for a bit longer, and I turn my incarnation back towards the star. Just then, for a moment, I feel several scenes flash before my eyes. The outskirts of the netherworld. The outskirts of the source river, seen through the star vein eye. And, It's a scene of hundreds of millions of light clusters gathering to form a garden in the shape of flowers. Ah, I understand what blood yin meant by five senses. So that's it. Until now, I thought nether perception and star vein eye were the only senses that touch the domains of other heavenly venerables. But unexpectedly, I possess yet another sense. That place is Eastern Heaven Flower Field. The sense that perceives the cradle that allows beings of the netherworld and the source river to return to the existing realm. I can feel clearly what this sense is. Every person, no, every living being in this world has, at some point, seen the Eastern Heaven Flower Field. When a person who died is reincarnated and reborn. When a baby is born into this world, what is the first thing the baby sees? The midwife's face. The parent's face. Wrong. The first thing a baby sees is the light, they gaze upon when they emerge from the darkness. Then, what exactly is that first light that shines upon the child? It is not merely a light seen when emerging from the darkness. Every living being, upon birth, sees the eastern heaven flower field they have passed through. I, if I think about it, have been reborn hundreds of times. Each time I started a new cycle, I've always seen light. That wasn't simply the light of regression. That was, perhaps, the flower named after my life that I saw as I was granted a new life. That sensation I felt after dying and being reborn hundreds of times, that sensation was precisely the sense of perceiving the flower realm. As the aura of death that envelops me momentarily fades through the rotation of the three great ultimates, I am able to clearly perceive that sense. This is the sense of perceiving the five worlds. I heighten my senses of the eastern heaven flower field even further. The entire world begins to blur, and here and there, light starts to shine. At the same time, light of all of the heavens, natural colors fill the surroundings, and each cluster of light merges to bloom into beautiful flowers. This is the flower realm. These flowers they are flowers that symbolize life. The life that will soon be granted. They determine the family, environment, body, and race one will be born into, while also representing the lives of those currently living. Oh, is that so? You must not touch them recklessly. Terrifying beings like the wheel annihilation evil heart flower grow everywhere like weeds. Of course, those who have learned certain special methods can intrude here and use techniques that borrow the energy of such sinister flowers, but TL, wheel as in cart wheel, as in axle and wheel. Perhaps, entering here is also fate, so I'll give you a gift. Take it, it's an annihilation flower. Pardon, without giving me a chance to refuse, the old man places a black flower into my hand and leaves. 476. Thump thump thump. I clutch my throbbing heart and regain my senses. Heok, huck, the surroundings are still inside my body. Quote. What was that just now? I had a conversation with someone of unknown identity. And that someone had gifted me something called the annihilation flower, Mie Wang Hua. I quickly feel around my incarnation's body and rummage through my main body as well. As I toss and turn, earthquakes and storms erupt in various places, but now is not the time to worry about that. Just what did I receive, and from whom? I feel cold sweat trickling down as I observe my body, soul, and celestial energy. There is no conspicuous ominous misfortune, but what exactly is it? However, not seeing anything special only makes me only more anxious. I gather my comrades, who are scattered and each cultivating on their own, into one place. Everyone, I have something to tell you. What is it? I take out the all-heavens sword and stick one into each of their heads. From now on, with this, you'll be able to communicate with me. So, please ascend immediately. What's the matter, master? This doesn't come off easily. Hong Fan brushes something off my chest, saying something is stuck and asks. Firstly, I tell my comrades an important truth. It's about us. The higher beings of this world call the seven of us, who come from other worlds and possess special powers, as Ender's Zhang Mingjie. Oh, then me and this. And, I have occasionally mentioned this before but do not recklessly reveal what you possess. I interrupt Oh Yun Sok's words and shout loudly. I know some of you may not know, but I have met a higher being long ago. It was a being also known as a true immortal. And they told me this. True immortals can bestow us with nothing but misfortune. In other words, even if true immortals show us goodwill and bless us, their goodwill and blessings will become a misfortune that we cannot bear. I continue with a stern face. And just now, I received something like an unknown blessing as a gift from a being I presume to be a true immortal. Hearing this, the color drains from all my comrades' faces. Perhaps because they had been killed by the true immortal level blood yin hundreds of times, everyone seems fearful. Is this not it? Experiencing death too much in a short period, I got confused. There's no way my comrades died hundreds of times. They must be worried because they are remembering the time when blood yin invaded the bright cold realm. I wasn't confused before, but maybe it's because the records in the canvas of myriad forms and connections piled up too rapidly that I got confused momentarily. I feel a headache coming on for some reason as I recall my meeting with Sacred Master Yuo. What was it? Something was off. There was a sense of discomfort during my meeting with Yuo, but I can't figure out what it exactly was. I shake my head and decide to investigate slowly before continuing my explanation. Anyway, Since I have received a blessing from such a being, it's currently dangerous to be near me. What are you talking about? We need to stick together at a time like this. That's right. Just like when you suddenly started leaking black water and fainted earlier, someone needs to be there to help you. After hearing that, I look at Seo Ran and Hong Fan and say, if that's the case, then everyone except Seo Ran and Hong Fan, please ascend. What? Seo Ran's nether crossing ship and Hong Fan's entering heavens beyond the path and integrated Dao domain are more than useful to me. Regardless of the realm I mean. However, if others want to stay with me, it would be better to raise your realm first. I sternly lay out the facts to my comrades. Frankly, at your current levels, you're more of a hindrance. My words darken my comrades' complexions. Kim Yeon and Kim Young-hoon look at me with strange eyes for some reason, while the rest of my comrades nod with bitter expressions. Well, alright, if that's the case, once I reach the same realm as you, I will definitely come and find you. Oh Yun-sok says this and turns around with Azure Tiger Saint. After a while, led by Oh Yun-sok, the rest of my comrades begin to attempt their ascension to the bright cold realm. Wu Wang, they embody the attraction force of the middle realm, connecting their attraction force with the attraction force of the bright cold realm and start creating a path to the interdimensional void. I see off my comrades. And, just as they are about to ascend, Kim Young-hoon speaks to me in heart language. Seo Eun-yun, can't you feel that something is off with yourself? What do you mean? The past you would never have said it like that. I'm not sure what you're saying. Alright, since you seem completely unaware, I'll tell you. Take a good look at your intent. You will be able to understand immediately what I am talking about. Puzzled by his words, I look at Kim Young-hoon, and they ascend back to the bright cold realm from my body. What about my intent? If it's about Master's intent, it has become difficult to read due to the advancement in realm. Hong Fan, who remains here, immediately answers me. It has become difficult to read. Ah, that's right. Thinking about it, it was like that. Both the esteemed ones of the Blood Yin realm and those seen in the Lightning Sacred Sea. It was difficult to read any of their intent. At that time, I just vaguely thought it was because of the difference in realms, but now I should be able to figure out the reason. I sit in a lotus position and begin to observe my intent. What about my intent? Oh, I immediately understand. This is insane. Thud, I immediately rise from my seat and clutch my head. Back in the days of the true devil realm. Invasion, when I first saw the left hand of esteemed one Sui Ryong, I couldn't read the intent at all. Back then, I thought it was simply due to the difference in realms that the intent was unreadable. But now, I finally understand the reason. Void shattering is achieved through realizing emptiness, and star shattering esteemed ones eventually become emptiness upon becoming esteemed ones. I also understand the reason. The intent of esteemed ones begins to slowly transforms into attraction force. That is why I couldn't properly read the intent of the Blood Yin realm esteemed one. Esteemed ones naturally realize emptiness when they reach the star-shattering stage. I see. Fate is essentially attraction force. And immortal arts is the method by which fate and the world are twisted by the heart. Therefore, from the star-shattering stage onward, the heart begins to transform into attraction force itself. The reason why my intent, which was previously fine, suddenly began changing into attraction force is probably because I vomited the power of death using the Death Path 3 Great Ultimates. Sacred Master Yuo, I smile bitterly. She had said it. The heart is essentially death. Thus, the moment I momentarily shed the power of death from my body, the transformation of my heart into attraction force began. In the end, I found a method I can't use. If I empty out death, my heart turns into attraction force, and I eventually become emotionless. If I retain my heart without it transforming into attraction force, I end up being dragged to the underworld by the power of death, trapped for eternity. Either way, it's a dreadful ending. Kugugugu. I lead the colorless sword mountain treading sea great star and navigate towards the far end of the universe while letting out a sigh. 3 years have passed. Kugugugu. During my space journey, I finally arrive at a decaying corpse realm after a long time. This is the place. Decaying corpse realms are usually scattered across the interdimensional void, but some special decaying corpse realms are occasionally found within the astral realm. Like Yongsu Jin's ring finger, or this thigh bone, so to speak. I extend my consciousness towards the thigh bone surrounded by a dimensional veil. As expected, it's pretending to be a decaying corpse realm, but it's something alive. It's not like the vestiges of the interdimensional void, is it an entering nirvana true person? I carefully avoid provoking that being as I approach the inside of the thigh bone. In front of the world called the peaceful cloud continent, I shrink my main body and overlay it with my incarnation, shaping it into a human form before descending within. Pot. In one place on the continent. After finding a familiar presence there, I head to the brat's dwelling. Ruler of the peaceful cloud continent. The grand perfection golden core sage god Xian Ren Xian, who is said to have set a foot inside the true god realm, the Black Blade Great Emperor He Ren Dadi Ham Jin, is tilting his cup of wine surrounded by pond of alcohol and a forest of meat Ju Kai Ru Lin. TL. Pond of alcohol and a forest of meat is an idiom used to describe an environment of luxury, wealth, and indulgence. Ha 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 ha, this is indeed the paradise of the mortal world. Soon, through the true God advancement ritual, I will reach the nascent soul stage. Then, truly no one will be able to oppose this seat's imperial words. He embraces beautiful women and several handsome men, eyeing the virgins brought before him. Ha ha ha, you were the ones who dared to challenge this seat's power and prestige. Good. As an example, tonight this seat shall show you affection. You filthy thing, if you are a cultivator, should you not cultivate the Tao instead of lusting after women like us who are already betrothed? Because of you plundering our nation's treasury for your entertainment, our country is in chaos. Not to mention our clan. Do you even know how many women and men you have taken away from us? Why do you make our lives miserable? Ha 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 ha. Ham Jin laughs uproariously. Impudent things. Speak all you want. I have power, and you do not. That is all. Ham Jin joyfully raises his cup towards the sky. May the power and prestige of this seat be eternal. Kururung. Just then, clink, Ham Jin feels as if lightning flashed before his eyes, and the whole world seems to have stopped. What's this? The flow of particles is slowing down. No. Is it my mind that has accelerated? I see. Both are happening. This is. Suddenly, Ham Jin realizes someone has arrived before him. WW Wuji, cult leader. Has the cult leader personally descended? Wuji cult leader Seo Unyun. A giant devil with over a dozen heads, the source of the power Ham Jin has cultivated. Seo Unyun, who has descended by distorting the space-time around him, looks around and clicks his tongue. With your talent and the Black Blade maturing secrets I made, you should have reached the mid-nascent soul stage long ago. Just what have you been doing all this time? That is. I have been struggling to spread the name of the cult leader across this continent. Did I ask you to do that? Tisk, enough. Just hand over the key. Yes. Ham Jin hastily pulls out a green jade tablet from his possession and presents it to Seo Unyun. Receiving the jade tablet, Seo Unyun looks at Ham Jin. Just looking at you, your mind is full of delusions, desires, and greed. Yes, I, Ham Jin, have erred. If cult leader just gives me time. I originally intended to make you my direct disciple if you ascended. Pardon. Seo Unyun silently reveals his presence before Ham Jin. Hu, Huaaaack. Hukuaak. Ham Jin's eyes burst and begin to melt. Blood tears stream from his eyes, and Ham Jin, unable to withstand Seo Unyun's presence, kneels down and starts vomiting. Listen well, you seem to be following me and playing cult leader or emperor, so I will warn you. If you truly wished to follow me, you should have disciplined yourself and accumulated cultivation, not oppress those weaker than you and enjoy such a pond of alcohol and forest of meat like this. Hukuaak, kuagak, flames begin to rise from Ham Jin's body. They are glass-colored flames. From within these flames, glass swords start violently erupting from all over Ham Jin's body. You, my old connection, Ham Jin. If you had accumulated cultivation and reached the heavenly being stage, ascended and came to my side, then as someone with a connection to me, you would have become my true disciple. Then, someday, you might have reached the same realm as I. Kuak, uhuayak, uheuong. The screaming Ham Jin suddenly starts to weep. You, Ham Jin, you yourself threw away the opportunity to become a godlike being and chose to stay here. I respect your choice, but you shall never face me directly again. Quaduduk. Blades of glass sprout from Ham Jin's eyes. Ham Jin rolls on the ground screaming in agony, and Seo Unyun suddenly disappears from the spot. Simultaneously, time begins to flow normally again. Hihiak, kua, Ham Jin regenerates his body, pushing out the glass shards that have grown from him. Yet, Even after pushing out all the glass shards and regenerating his eyes, Hamjin does not open his eyes. It's because he feels that if he opens his eyes, the terrifying presence of Seo Eun-yun might still be before him. Ku hug. Hamjin feels the knowledge of the process of star formation, forcibly injected into his mind as he rises from the spot. The process of a star's formation and the principle of nature's cycle rotate in Hamjin's mind. Drip. He feels a nosebleed and, holding his head, shouts. Get out. Everyone get out. At Hamjin's shout, everyone inside the great hall quickly exits. He climbs onto his throne and falls into thought for a moment. And a little later, he buries his face in his hands and sighs heavily. Just what have I been doing all this time? After that day, the Black Blade Great Emperor Hamjin, who had swept through the peaceful cloud continent, suddenly disappeared. Some say he was murdered, others say he became a true heaven beyond heavens and ascended. The truth is, Hamjin, reflecting on his own ugliness, cast aside all his power and prestige and began proper cultivation hidden in a mountain valley, but everyone on the peaceful cloud continent speculated that Hamjin met his end through whatever means. After rebuking Hamjin, I activated the jade tablet in the decaying corpse realm and moved to another star. Now I understand. I click my tongue as I leap between stars. This, path of stars, where each is a true person. This wasn't simply installed by esteemed ones. Using the entering nirvana true persons as stepping stones, someone developed this. I follow the path of stars leading to the lightning sacred sea. Looking at the path of these formations, I speculate who could have developed this. Just who could it be, using the bodies of true persons as stepping stones to establish these transmission arrays? I land on a planet filled with poisonous clouds and mutter. Just then, lofty dragon, ! I flinch in surprise at the sound coming from around me and look around. They instructed the true persons at that time to create this path. I soon realize who the voice belongs to and am shocked. A star. No, a true person imitating a star. And when we reached this realm they told us to refine this path. The voice around me grows louder and clearer. In order to repay that person's grace, we became true persons and refined their path. Therefore, the path that originally comprised of 3 true persons that worshipped lofty dragon has now become a path formed of dozens of true persons. The incarnation of this star mimicking true person appears before me. He is dressed in ancient attire, his face marked with dozens of bizarre tattoos, and a magnificent beard, presenting a dignified image of an elderly man with white hair. Cultivation spells are ultimately a path to reach immortal arts. The more it's called a peerless divine skill, the closer it is to immortal arts. Moreover, Lofty Dragon arranged for 2 immortal arts to activate this path of stars. And, the methods to reach those 2 immortal arts are precisely Purple Soul filling the heavens, Salt Sea returning dew jade. He looks at me and asks. I am the Lofty Dragon Care Chief Priest of the human race. Why can I feel the aura of these 2 techniques from a human race sacred vessel Jr.? I don't know about Salt Sea returning dew jade, but Purple Soul filling the heavens should be unattainable without transmission beyond mere formulas. Purple Soul filling the heavens was passed down to the dragon race, not the human race. What exactly is your identity? I recognize who he is and my eyes light up. You're the one who left the diary in the storage scroll of Lofty Dragon True Person. The one who was hung upside down by Lofty Dragon True Person for not being able to draw a tangwa and got beaten quite badly. ... Quote. An awkward silence hangs between us for a moment. 477. The true person, who had been silent for a moment, clicks his tongue at me while looking at me as if in disbelief. ... I see. I didn't realize it since the scale of attraction force seen in the foresight was absurdly large, but could it be that you're in the star-shattering stage? Your mental state doesn't seem that well, but to think such an existence like you would appear. He strokes his beard, appearing intrigued by me. ... I don't quite understand what you mean. I furrow my brows, trying to grasp the meaning of what the true person is saying. Since what stands before me is not the real physical body but an incarnation, I can't read any biological reactions, nor can I read his intent since he's a true person beyond the star-shattering stage where intent transforms into attraction force. The true person laughs while stroking his beard. Esteemed ones gradually begin to transform their consciousness into attraction force. I've seen quite a few who, unable to adapt to this change, end up suffering from chi deviation and inner demons. How about you? Are you afraid? ... I'm not sure. I respond expressionlessly, stroking my chin. In the past, Emotions seemed quite important, but honestly, I'm not sure right now. I don't know why I put so much effort into these things. I also can't quite grasp why I had sought powers like the three great ultimates or void shattering. Instead, if I had focused solely on heaven and earth cultivation, I would have reached the sacred vessel stage by now. He strokes his beard again and then abruptly introduces himself. Come to think of it, I haven't introduced myself. I am Jin Lugok, the representative of the human race 500,000 years ago and the Lofty Dragon Care High Priest, who served the immortal beast Lofty Dragon as my master in the past. And, I gaze at him with a bit of curiosity at his continued words. A man once called a master of consciousness methods 500,000 years ago, who, at one point, reached the third stage of manifestation as a member of the Heart Tribe. Though I've now forgotten manifestation, so I'm neither Heart Tribe or anything of the sort. That is surprising. Mastering the skills of the Heart Tribe is not easy. What's difficult about it? I even received direct teachings in the consciousness method from the Tridakna vast cold heavenly king over 500,000 years ago. He smiles faintly and claps his hands together. Clap. And, speaking as a master of such consciousness methods, I'd say that those with manifestation in the Heart Tribe experience their consciousness turning into attraction force at a faster rate and to a more intense degree once they reach the realm of an esteemed one. That's interesting. Shouldn't those who train in manifestation from the Heart Tribe be able to maintain their emotions for a longer time even after becoming esteemed ones? But Jin Lugok explains that part quite clearly, making it easy for me to understand. Have you ever built a sandcastle? Yes, well, I used to do it sometimes when I was a child. I see. Then, when you build that sandcastle, is the shadow of a large sandcastle small, or is the shadow of a small sandcastle small? I catch on to what he's trying to say. You're saying that the size of the shadow corresponds to the size of the heart built through manifestation. 7 points out of 10. Think it over again carefully. I take a moment to reflect and carefully reconsider his question. Suddenly, I sense something strange. Wait, the size of the shadow. The size of the shadow varies depending on the position of the sun, doesn't it? Exactly. The correct answer isn't the size, but the light. While the size does have some influence, it's minimal. Ultimately, a larger and longer shadow means being closer to the sun. He tells me this with a profound expression. In other words, the closer you get to the light, the bigger the shadow becomes. If we consider the sandcastle you built as the cultivation of the Heart Tribe, then the cultivation of a Heaven Tribe cultivator that cultivates attraction force is an act of approaching the light. Of course, all beings inevitably draw closer to the light through cultivation, so that's not the issue. The real issue lies with those who, like you or I, have built sandcastles, or even sand mountains, in their hearts. Ordinary heaven, earth cultivators are like flatlands. So, that's why people like us experience a much faster and more intense transformation of intent into attraction force compared to regular cultivators. You could say so. Ordinary star-shattering stage cultivators only have their consciousness briefly turn into attraction force whenever they use spells, and their consciousness gradually transforms over time. But for us, once our consciousness shifts into attraction force, our very mind changes into attraction force at once. Just like what you're experiencing now. I contemplate, looking inward at myself. Indeed, I have been feeling somewhat emotionless lately. I have become indifferent to the realm of void shattering, but if I keep going like this and forget manifestation, it would be a significant loss of power. Although further training in void shattering is excessive, losing what I already have would be a disadvantage to me, so I ask Jin Lugok for a solution. From what you're saying, it sounds like there's a way to avoid this once one reaches the realm beyond the star-shattering stage. Of course there is. What is it? I ask with a blank expression. But before I answer, I have something to ask you. What is it? What does the heart mean to you? Why do you seek to regain it? I ponder deeply. That's true, why am I trying to regain it? The heart is nothing but a source of distraction. Even if I keep it within my chest, it's nothing more than a factory that produces heart demons, a source of pain that plagues me. From the start, isn't the heart essentially death? Recently, I have often been revolving the three great ultimates to separate death energy from my body. At first, it was hard to keep the three great ultimates spinning constantly, but now I've gotten somewhat used to it. After all, this is a matter of life and death, so I am literally staking my life on it. Diving deeply into the heart could cause the separated death energy to erupt and drag me to the underworld, the heart. Why on earth do I need to cultivate such a thing? It's too dangerous. At this point, it might be better to give up on void shattering altogether and focus solely on heaven, earth, and puppet. For some reason, Kim Yeon seems to have developed patterns similar to the extraordinary pattern law talent, which suggests that she lost her voice but gained something akin to the extraordinary pattern law talent in return. If I could ask her to use that talent to create sacred vessel circuits or entering nirvana puppets, I could wield the strongest power in a more stable manner. Single quote. Wait, this is strange. However, in place of my lost emotions, my reason that has become extremely cold and rational detects a profound contradiction within myself. Why do you want to become the strongest? That's because, only by being the strongest can I protect my comrades. Why do you want to protect your comrades? Only by being with them can I unravel the mystery of the existence known as Enders, and someday return to my homeland. Why do you want to go back to your homeland? Couldn't you just indulge in ponds of alcohol and forests of meat and focus on reproduction here for all eternity? That's because I suddenly find myself at a loss for words. The question Jin Lugok threw at me seems to cling to me, turning into a heart demon. No. This man, he's really done something to me. There's really a heart demon whispering within my consciousness. Jin Lugok, did he cast some curse on me? I glare at Jin Lugok for a moment, but I can't afford to engage in a confrontation against someone at a higher realm with a curse clinging to me. Especially now, when even my void shattering is unstable, it's even more impossible. Since he doesn't have thoughts on attacking me for now, let's deal with this heart demon first. It's something I have to resolve anyway. I extricate myself from Jin Lugok's planetary body, take a position in the cosmic space, and quickly begin to answer the contradictions that keep arising in my mind. My parents are back home. I have a job there. If I stay here, I'll be reported missing, and who knows what will happen to my social standing. Why are you concerned with the culture of those mere bugs? You are already a star in itself. With just a little more cultivation, you'll reach the sacred vessel stage and enjoy a lifespan spanning in the billions. That's enough time for microorganisms to evolve and build a civilization. So why are you trying to return to a society so far beneath you? Single quote. Is that so? It's a reasonable point. Even my parents are ultimately just humans made of flesh and blood. Moreover, the world I perceive is beyond the grasp of ordinary mortals. As a star-shattering esteemed one, there is no longer any need to concern myself with the connection between parent and child. My body is no longer even human, and having become a star, why should I still be concerned about such things? I have transcended humanity, so it isn't a heart demon, but a blessing. It seems I have misunderstood Jin Lugok. Instead of something like a heart demon, he appears to have given me a stimulus or blessing to free my mind from the shackles of inferior humans, but I had mistaken it due to my paranoia. Let's throw away the shackles of race, and live freely as I roam the universe from now on. Honestly, why should I be entangled in such chains of this and that? I no longer need comrades. The annihilation of the heavenly domain. With my current self, I feel like I could reach the entering nirvana stage within 500,000 years if don't care about the means and methods. I just need to repeat it 50 more times without dying. Then I would attain the true body of the entering nirvana stage, be able to withstand the destruction of the heavenly domain, and surviving that would guarantee at least hundreds of millions of years of cultivation time. Even if it takes hundreds of millions of years, I will surely become a true immortal. I would become a true immortal, and truly achieve eternal life. Single quote. Single quote. Then, I realize something strange. The blessing that Jin Lugok gave me is whispering to me once again. Why do you need to achieve eternal life? I ponder deeply before answering. Because I want to live. Is there really a need for a reason beyond that? However, the blessing persistently asks for a reason. Why do you want to live? Single quote. Single quote. Why do I want to live? Isn't it obvious? There are all kinds of pleasures, prosperity, and splendor in the world. Isn't living eternally to enjoy those things an incredibly precious opportunity? Why do you need to enjoy such things? That's because among the desires of life, the desire for sleep, reproduction, and food are essential for living creatures to survive. Then, in the middle of my answer, I realize the contradiction in that response as well. Single quote. But I'm not a living creature anymore. I don't even have such desires. Which means, the desires I just mentioned aren't truly what I want. Realizing this truth, I become confused. I'm not even a living creature, and desires have no meaning. Having become a star itself, things like comrades, family, and connections lost their meaning. Then, why am I even living? The one asking these questions is no longer the heart demon. It is myself, endlessly questioning and answering myself. I twist the surrounding space-time with attraction force, accelerating the flow of time, and think within that space. 10 seconds here equal 1 second outside. There is ample time to think. Why am I alive? To avoid suffering, simply because I cannot die due to regression. I trace my purpose from beginning to end. Why am I here, doing this? My initial purpose was to break regression. I recall the 18th cycle and think of Seoli. To have a body that can be buried in the ground when it dies. To live a single, proper life. To live a life where those who remember me remain in this world even if I die. That was what I genuinely desired when I was still human. Though it doesn't make much sense to me now, that's how it was back then. And to break the regressions, I pondered how it could be done. The result of that contemplation was, since I gained the ability when I came to this world, the ability should disappear if I return to Earth, and so I began searching for a way to return to Earth. It's a bit complicated, but that's why I initially wanted to investigate the Ascension Gate at Ascension Path. Because if I could investigate the Ascension Gate, I might find a way to return to Earth. And for that, I began my life of immortal cultivation. Thinking back now, my early goals were incredibly tangled. Break the cycle of regression. To do that, return to Earth. To do that, investigate the Ascension Gate. To do that, begin immortal cultivation. To do that, obtain the spiritual roots needed for immortal cultivation. To do that, reach 5 energies converging to the origin. To do that, I really had a lot to do, huh? As I reflect on all that, I recall the purpose I had forgotten. Yes, now that I think about it, my goal was to break the regressions and create a fate where I would be remembered even if I died. But now, I no longer know what my purpose is. Could it be because my heart has transformed into attraction force? I feel that the goals I pursued before no longer resonate with me at all. What should I do? Staring blankly into the void for a moment, I finally made a cold, rational decision, devoid of any emotion. There's no meaning to living. If emotions hold no meaning, and instincts hold no meaning, then, there's no meaning for me to live in this world. Quote. Ha, I laugh. Then let's die. Ha ha, but I can't die, as long as regression exists. Ha, ha ha, ha 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 ha, therefore, I must break the cycle of regression. Ha 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 ha, ha 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 ha, break the cycle of regression, and even if I die, let there be a world where those who remember me remain. That is, ha 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 ha, aha, aha ha ha, that is what I have been striving for from the very beginning, my purpose. Bursting into a crazed laughter, I once again accept death. TSTSTSTSTSTSTSTs. The death that had temporarily left my body while I was spinning the death path 3. Great Ultimates returns to me. When attraction force reaches its peak, the heavenly domain reaches the end. Moreover, according to her, the more the heart tribe uses their power, the sooner the end arrives. It's a problem that never required any deliberation in the first place. The heart is essentially death. And all beings are fated to face death. You madman. From afar, Jinlu Gok's stunned mental speech echoes through the cosmic space. When I think about it, the answer was always within me. Phenomena extinguishing mantra, I bring the attraction force around me to its peak. The surrounding heaven and earth's spiritual energy is drawn in. I cannot crumple and crush the entire universe like the owner of Great Mountain, but I can distort the surrounding attraction force and create a world filled with light and heat around me. Pot, I compress the attraction force and contain it within my chest. Kurururung. Caressing my chest, I half open my eyes. Thank you for your guidance. Expressing my gratitude to Jinlu Gok, I completely overcome the phenomenon of intent transforming into attraction force. Attraction force and the heart were never entirely separate to begin with. From the beginning, the place attraction force points towards is the heart. Kugak, Kugugugak. At the same time, I sense an immense attraction force emanating from the death I just accepted, pulling me in. The netherworld is calling me. If this continues, I'll be dragged back to the netherworld. But, let's remember that moment, the time of the universe's creation. I may not have witnessed the beginning of the universe with my own eyes, but I was present during its early days, and through the star vein I could trace back to the point where the universe's creation first began. As I imagine that moment of the universe's creation, I open my eyes wide. Flash, the light and heat gathered within my chest explodes. At the same time, the power of death within that light and heat also erupts. Kururururung. An overwhelming explosion occurs within my body, and my incarnation bursts apart, leaving my main body positioned in the cosmic space. You said that the heart is death, and that it's the end. Defying her words, I scatter death outward from within the explosion. When she showed me the destruction of the universe, my heart truly sank. To think my cultivation was accelerating the end of the universe. But, when I thought about it again, it was strange. Certainly, when attraction force reaches its peak, the universe meets its end. But, isn't a new universe born at the same time? I recall the end heavenly circle that ends with acceptance at fate's end, and the vast cold heavenly circle that concludes with the cycle of the 4 seasons, and I half close my eyes. It is not the end. Korararara. The power of death that had been layered within my soul scatters, transforming into pure heaven and earth spiritual energy that envelops the surroundings. It can also be a new beginning. I understand why the heart turns into attraction force during the star-shattering stage. At the star-shattering stage, the heart becomes attraction force, and that force begins to reach its peak as cultivation progresses. Ultimately, the attraction force coalesces once more, bringing about the end, and beyond that end, a new heart is born. What I just experienced was akin to a preview of that process. Of course, since I did not go through the real process, I don't know what problems might arise when I truly reach that stage and attempt to go through it. But, one thing is certain, whether at the sacred vessel stage or entering nirvana stage, there will definitely come a time when this experience proves useful. I realize that, due to the recent attraction force and explosion, I vaporized and dispersed the power of death that had accumulated within my soul, and I smile. The transformation of the heart to attraction force, and the attraction force of the underworld. Having resolved both, I swim through the still lingering radiance of the explosion to bow to Jinlugok. As I wade through the cluster of light, I suddenly feel a strange sensation. Why, isn't this space of light ending? At that moment, I sense delicate, jade-like hands appear behind me and gently stroke my cheek. Chills. Despite having reached the level of an esteemed one, I failed to detect any signs. I freeze in place, feeling the delicate jade-like hands toy with my cheek. The delicate, jade-like hands trace my cheek, then slide down to caress my nape, and finally rest on my shoulder. Flinch. As soon as the hand touches my shoulder, I snap to my senses and try to move my body. But my body doesn't respond, as if paralyzed. The delicate, jade-like hands continue to tease my shoulder. Since the 15th cycle, no one has persistently toyed with my shoulder like this. I grit my teeth in humiliation and shame, letting my shoulder be touched by a presence I did not permit. Then, the will echoes. Delightful thing, the will teases my shoulder as it speaks. As expected, you are far too desirable. Tingle. Feeling the sensation on my shoulder, my body trembles as if struck by a heavenly tribulation. Kukwik. Someone, not stopping with just teasing, bites down on my shoulder with their teeth. I feel my hands and feet trembling in humiliation, and my face turning bright red. You belong to this lord. When you eventually come to the Heavenly King Heavenly Domain, you will inevitably be mine. With those words, the someone vanishes abruptly. At the same time, I emerge from the glow of the explosion. Quote. Exclamation mark quote. I clutch my shoulder, bending over from the intense, sharp pain radiating from it. The pain I feel in my shoulder is so intense that even I, of all people, momentarily consider it unbearable. Fortunately, it isn't a persistent pain but something that seems to have occurred momentarily. This is. When I remove my hand from my shoulder, I see a long sword scar etched on my left shoulder. Pasasasasa. Even after dispersing my incarnation and reforming it, the result is the same. No matter how I recreate my incarnation, the sword scar remains etched upon it. This crazy. Thinking about the being who engraved the mark on me and left, I feel my hair stand on end. Sword Spear Heavenly Lord. Did they come after witnessing me overcome death? Or after seeing the explosion? Just what exactly did they see to come find me, damn it? This is not good. A being of light has not only sought me out but even left their own mark behind. I won't be dragged to the Sword Spear Heavenly Lord instead of the Heavenly Venerable of the Underworld when I die, right? I feel a cold sweat forming as I sigh. For now, I decide to find a way to remove this mark later and approach Jinlugok. Elder, I offer my deep gratitude for your teachings. If he hadn't cast the heart demon curse on me, I wouldn't have attained this enlightenment. Jinlugok looks at me for a moment, then lets out a deep sigh and dispels his incarnation as he speaks. Originally, I only intended to give Junior a bit of enlightenment so you wouldn't suffer from inner demons, but your sudden enlightenment has exceeded my expectations. Go on. Elder mentioned you had questions regarding purple soul filling the heavens or salt sea returning due jade. I don't want to talk to you. I've roughly understood what kind of beings you're entangled with. Just go and take care of your business. I have no more curiosity. I understand that there might be some misunderstanding, but I am by no means in the kind of relationship you are thinking of with the owner of Great Mountain or the fifth seat of the Radiance 8 Immortals, Sword Spear Heavenly Lord. Cool. Jin Lugok screams and shouts. Get out. Do not let them form an attraction force with me, and quickly disappear. Hurry and get lost. I thought he could withstand it since he's at the entering nirvana stage, but unexpectedly, even the name of true immortals seems to be fatal to those in the entering nirvana stage. No, maybe it's even more fatal because he's at the entering nirvana stage. I didn't think of that. Smacking my lips, I head to the teleportation array on the surface of Jin Lugok's planet and activate it. I apologize for disturbing your rest. I will visit later to apologize properly. No need, just get lost. He seems to want to get rid of me immediately, but thinking I have formidable backers, he refrains from using force. I give a bitter smile, bow to him, and before transferring to another true person's body, I ask him a question. I'd like to ask one last question. Do you know why the Path of the Stars made by Lofty Dragon True Person exists, and why it is connected to the Lightning Sacred Sea? He replies curtly to my question. Shouldn't you ask the divine spirit you serve? As I mentioned, the mountain. I got it, you brat. I'll just say it, okay. During the Blood Yin Great War, the entire Sun and Moon heavenly domain was caught up in that conflict. Lofty Dragon True Person took pity on the living beings of the domain and created a path for them to escape to other heavenly domains. If you follow this path of the stars, at its end lies the starting point of this heavenly domain. Quote. The starting point of the heavenly domain. It's the place I arrived at in my 19th cycle, guided by the awakening of the star vein I under the arrangements of Young Sung, the immortal treasure of the heavenly venerable of time. The starting point of the heavenly domain is where the heavenly domain first exploded. It is also a direct path to the deepest part of the domain of the heavenly venerable of time, and at the same time, serves as the gateway to travel between different heavenly domains. I see. The path of the stars guides the living beings to the starting point of the heavenly domain, allowing them to escape the domain whenever needed. And 120,000 years ago, if that madman hadn't stuck his ring finger into the starting point of the heavenly domain and blocked the path, our Sun and Moon heavenly domain would have been able to freely interact with other heavenly domains, but, thanks to the remains left by that madman, even if the end comes, we can't escape the domain to flee. Likewise, beings from other heavenly domains also cannot meddle freely in this heavenly domain. Quote. It's golden divine, isn't it? Considering all the chaos he's caused, it's not surprising anymore. This is the truth regarding the Path of Stars. At the other end of the Path of Stars, it connects to the Sea King Hall of the Ancient Force Realm. When a crisis erupts in the Sun and Moon heavenly domain, the descendant of Lofty Dragon's superior, Heiyu, will open the path, activating it so, the living beings within the body of Lofty Dragon's superior, will be the first to exit the heavenly domain. From that point onward, the Path of Stars served as an emergency escape network, allowing the living beings of the Sun and Moon heavenly domain to evacuate to adjacent heavenly domains. Through the Ancient Force Realm in case of emergency. As I learn the truth of the Path of Stars, I nod. Thank you for sharing this information. I will repay you someday. The best way to repay me is to never come looking for me again. I don't want to get involved with you. Now go. Get out of here. Jin Lugok no longer associates with me as if I'm something terrible. With a bitter smile, I give him one last bow before activating the teleportation array. Several days have passed. After passing through dozens of teleportation arrays, I have finally reached the Lightning Sacred Sea. I arrived at the ring finger of Yongsu Jin. 478. Kugugugu. A gigantic ring finger covered by a dimensional veil appears before my eyes. It's been a while since I've come here. No, it's probably the first time I've come in person, isn't it? Last time, I had only sent my consciousness rather than my main body, so it hadn't felt particularly real. But this time, maybe because I'm here in my main body, or perhaps because I've risen to the star-shattering stage. The lightning immortal Yongsu Jin, it feels as though he's right in front of me. I calm my tingling body and focus my mind. Wu Wang. When I extend my consciousness and exert my authority, I feel my consciousness domain transforming into attraction force again. Unless I take special measures, it will likely turn back into attraction force. Of course, since I've already found a solution to consciousness turning into attraction force, I can revert it back to intent at any time by taking the proper measures at the right moment. Now then, shall I enter the lightning sacred sea? Let's go find the esteemed ones who are struggling within the remains of Yangsu Jin. I slowly begin to make my way into the inner area of Yangsu Jin's remains. Kugugugu. The heavenly rain great star gradually moves further into the dimensional veil of the lightning sacred sea. Just as my main body enters the inner area of the lightning sacred sea. Kwagg. Quote. Exclamation mark quote. I look around. This place. Above and below is a world with nothing but black clouds and golden lightning pouring down like rain. The first time I entered here with Zhang Ek, it had looked like a simple bathhouse, so I'm slightly taken aback as I scan the surroundings. There's nothing in particular that catches attention. The only notable aspect, just like before, is that I can't use the powers of Qi or Soul. However, I am not the same as before. Even in this world, attraction force exists. Kugugugik. Starting from an esteemed one, consciousness transforms into attraction force. It is not merely handling attraction force like in the 4-axis or integration stages, but a level where attraction force becomes part of the soul itself. Thus, by merely thinking, I can distort space with attraction force or tear holes in spacetime more easily than breathing. Kwang. I pierce through the space composed of black clouds. As the space seems to dissipate, I find myself in a new location. This place is. The world is even more densely filled with thunderclouds than before. The clouds are thicker, and even more electric charges rumble between them. Kwang. Once again, I pierce through the space with attraction force and move forward. However, the next space I reach is yet another world of thunderclouds. What's going on? It wasn't like this last time. I am bewildered but then suddenly notice the movement and flow of the clouds. This flow of clouds, this reaction of lightning, this is. I open my eyes wide and smile. So that's it. The lightning path method. Each of these worlds of clouds are an expression of each aspect of the golden divine heavenly thunder sect's lightning path method. Simply breaking through recklessly won't let me escape. I begin to operate the formula of the lightning path method, utilizing the heaven and earth spiritual energy generated on the surface of my planet. For someone like me, who has learned all the techniques of the golden divine heavenly thunder sect through the extinguishing divine tribulating heavens technique, mimicking the formula of the thunder path method is as easy as eating cold porridge. Kwagg. As lightning sparks across the surface of my main body, the surrounding clouds naturally dissipate. However, in an instant, the area fills with clouds again. As expected, to leave this place, I must align the lightning path method's formula with the flow of these clouds and lightning. Kururung. Focusing my mind, I begin to earnestly operate the lightning path method. Kwagg. Lightning dances. Multicolored bolts of lightning paint the surroundings with vibrant hues, pushing back the clouds. Though more clouds gather as I push them away, the clouds once dispersed by the formula do not drift back towards me. And finally, harnessing every formula of the golden divine heavenly thunder sect's lightning path method, I synchronize the flow of the heaven and earth spiritual energy coursing through my main body. Kwagg. With that, the world once filled with thunderclouds suddenly erupts with a frenzy of lightning, transforming everything around me with a golden glow. It resembles the scene from my advancement to the star-shattering stage, where the star tribulation had raged upon me. For a normal star-shattering stage, one would need to exert all their strength to resist this lightning. However, observing the flow of the lightning, I realize this is the final trial. If the descendant here is one who has learned the red lightning heavenly tribulation method, they would devour this lightning entirely. If it's instead a disciple of the golden divine heavenly thunder sect, they would absorb the lightning matching their mastered formula, receiving a blessing, and in the final case, if it's an entity who has fully mastered all lightning path methods of the golden divine heavenly thunder sect and obtained the extinguishing divine tribulating heavens technique. Kururung. The lightning begins to merge and vanish into nothingness. Just like how, when all lightning path methods of the golden divine heavenly thunder sect combine, the spiritual power and energy vanish, leaving only the extinguishing divine tribulating heavens technique as the sole immortal art. As the lightning fades, only the black clouds remain in its place. Kugugugu. The world, previously just filled with lightning, becomes a realm left only with dark clouds in an instant. The nearby black clouds no longer emit lightning, nor do they gather around me. They simply rotate around me, following the attractive force I radiate. After waiting for a while in that state, suddenly, a lightning possessing all of the heavens, natural colors boils up from within the black clouds and strikes my body. Wait, this, knowing the effect of the prismatic lightning, I am shocked to the point of almost fainting. It strikes the soul directly. The next moment, under the power of the relic left by the true immortal Yangsu Jin, I lose consciousness entirely. Murmuring. The sound of countless murmuring voices reverberates in my mind. Where is this? And what? I feel as though my mind is fragmented like powder, scattered everywhere. The fragmented pieces of my consciousness are hearing dozens, hundreds, thousands, billions, trillions of voices. The voices are so numerous and so vast that I cannot comprehend them all. Fortunately, since having my consciousness splintered like dust is something I experienced to the point of exhaustion during the star-shattering stage advancement ritual, I focus my mind on the consciousness hearing the most familiar voice. Pot. Then, I become unable to hear any other sound except that voice, and I feel my mind sharply concentrate on the place where that voice resounds. When I come to my senses, I see Kim Yeon in front of me. Slightly taken aback by this absurd situation, I look around. Then, the eyes of Kim Yeon, who seems to be demonstrating something like a magic artifact, widen. Kim Yeon, what's wrong? I suddenly flinch in surprise upon hearing my voice. This is, perhaps because my consciousness hasn't fully coalesced yet, my senses feel a bit unstable. I concentrate even more on gathering my consciousness while observing my body. Then, I let out a hollow laugh as I come to understand my current situation. I have descended into the body of Jaeon Myung-hoon, who is cultivating in the bright cold realm. It seems that Kim Yeon realizes my mind has inhabited Jaeon Myung-hoon's body, as her eyes gleam with recognition. That's right, Yeon. I've arrived at the lightning sacred sea, and somehow I ended up possessing Jaeon Myung-hoon's body. And, as I feel my senses gradually returning, I sense the presence of Yeon Jin and Yeon Wei nearby. I close my eyes. Pajijik, I feel it. The locations of the disciples of the Golden Divine Heavenly Thunder sector detected by me in the form of lightning souls Lei Hun. Simultaneously, I realize that as I am now, I can possess any disciple of the Golden Divine Heavenly Thunder sect without question. No, it's not just that. Through the extinguishing divine tribulating heavens technique, I notice that I can seize the cultivation of Yeon Wei or Yeon Jin, or even inject the energy of the lightning sacred sea to amplify it. Moreover, I can issue commands to them at will. I see. When one who has learned the extinguishing divine tribulating heavens technique arrives at the lightning sacred sea, they gain the authority to freely command the Golden Divine Heavenly Thunder sect, no, all disciples of Yangsu Jin. At this moment, my position is practically equivalent to having unrestricted access to the founder's command of the Golden Divine Heavenly Thunder sect without even needing the heavenly lightning banner. Jaeon Myung-hoon, can you hear me? Feeling a little guilty for suddenly taking over Jaeon Myung-hoon's body, I try to communicate with him. However, I receive no response. It seems that any disciple who becomes possessed via the lightning sacred sea falls into such a deep slumber that they cannot remain conscious. This could be somewhat dangerous. It's fortunate that it was me who mastered the extinguishing divine tribulating heavens technique and entered the lightning sacred sea. If someone like Oh Hai Seo had mastered the technique and entered, a thunder beast might have been born in the head realm that very day. After explaining the current situation in detail to the flustered Kim Yeon, I ask her about the current circumstances. Kim Yeon eagerly explains with hand and food gestures while going, MMMHMM. So, you're saying that since you can't speak, I should ask someone else. Alright, I'm sorry. Leaving Kim Yeon behind, I move using Jaeon Myung-hoon's body. As I move in his body, I realize something. This is it because I descended through the lightning sacred sea? I sense that I can naturally use all of Jaeon Myung-hoon's techniques. Kwagik. The Golden Divine Heavenly Thunder sect is also famous for its flying escape technique, which moves at the speed of lightning. The flying escape technique of the Golden Divine Heavenly Thunder sect is also called the Lightning Shadow Flying Escape technique because it leaves afterimages of lightning when moving. In the past, while I was still in the Golden Divine Heavenly Thunder sect, I too used to be able to use the lightning shadow flying escape technique before completing the extinguishing divine tribulating heavens technique. This looked quite cool, so I would occasionally move using the lightning shadow flying escape technique, but after completing the extinguishing divine tribulating heavens technique, I couldn't use it anymore. This is excellent. Using the lightning shadow flying escape technique, I move to the area where my comrades are with flashes of lightning. I quickly circle around Cedar Wood Grove once. Pajijik. Cedar Wood Grove is tranquil, just as before. There doesn't seem to have been any major disturbance in the bright cold realm. Possessing Jaeon Myung-hoon's body, I draw out my original consciousness domain through his body. Kururung. A storm begins to whirl around centered on Jaeon Myung-hoon's body. Using his body as a medium, I raise my consciousness domain and quickly reach the peak of Heavenly Lotus Mountain. I make contact with Baek-woon. Flash. Inside Baek-woon's white jade pavilion. I appear in front of Baek-woon through the projection of Jaeon Myung-hoon. She glares at me and speaks. When I sensed someone suddenly intruding on my territory, I thought some integration stage human had gone mad, but it was you, not some descendant of Yang Soo-jin. Seo Eun-yun, I apologize for my rudeness, Sacred Master. Is your body well, you crazy bastard? Do words of concern even come out of your mouth? She glares at me, growling as if she could tear me apart. It seems that the incident of electrically torturing her and summoning blood yin as a result left quite an unpleasant memory for her. I clear my throat and say, I truly, sincerely apologize for the unfortunate incident before. However, I have done my best in my own way to clean up the mess I made. HMPH. It wasn't you, but the great ones who probably exerted their power. If it weren't for your shoulder, I would have beaten this projection you've divine descent into and your comrade to death on the spot. It seems she still harbors a grudge against Jaeon Myung-hoon, as she spits out harsh words. My shoulder. Huh, I subtly touch the left shoulder of Jaeon Myung-hoon's body, which I have borrowed. Rotten though she may be, she is indeed a sacred master. She somehow managed to figure out from that vast distance that I was chosen by the Sword Spear Heavenly Lord. In any case, I don't wish to maintain a bad relationship with Sacred Master. My main body has currently reached the Lightning Sacred Sea. If I return from the Lightning Sacred Sea with the symbols of names of the Middle Realm, would you consider reconciliation? Regardless of what happened, resolving the tension with Baek-woon is the right thing to do. She's not a wicked villain to the core, and as long as she is the sacred master of the bright cold realm, the lives of my comrades are essentially in her hands. Seeing me go this far, she sighs and says, ... to voluntarily participate in the Lightning Sacred Sea expedition. If you truly manage to retrieve the symbols, I will not only forgive you but also grant an appropriate reward. After all, the divine artifacts stolen by Golden Divini are crucial for the Middle Realms. I see. Being able to resolve the grudges between me and Sacred Master is truly a rel. But, Baek-woon's eyes blaze with fire. Confirming that a great misfortune has filled the celestial energy in an instant, I flinch. No matter what, I cannot simply let go of the fact that you shocked me with electricity, tortured me, summoned blood yin, and threw the bright cold realm into chaos without any consequence. ... With nothing to say, I clear my throat. ... What do you want? She gives a sly smile. I will strike you with a sincere blow. If you take it, I'll forget everything that happened in the past. Then, I will ascend back to the bright cold realm to meet you. If you can wait just a bit. No need to wait. Since you're already possessing the descendant of Golden Divine, take this hit in that form to resolve the grudges regarding both of you. What? I look at her in shock. Without waiting for my response, Baek-woon brightens her gaze and begins gathering heaven and earth spiritual energy. This insane woman, she really intends to hit me with a strike. Breaking into a cold sweat, I swiftly withdraw the projection and pull my consciousness back into Jaeon Myung-hoon's body in Cedar Wood Grove. Cooging, cuckoo-googing. Above Cedar Wood Grove, the energy of the sky appears to distort dramatically, before pure white clouds gather in the sky. The white clouds condense into the form of Baek-woon, dressed in a simple white robe, and her figure starts to expand endlessly. Soon, Baek-woon's form, now as enormous as a planet, raises her hand to the heavens. The entire sky over Cedar Wood Grove seemed to darken, completely obscured under the sole of her enormous foot. I look up at her with a dumbfounded expression, letting out a low groan. Kururururung. Just how much resentment has piled up. Honestly, considering the havoc I caused by summoning blood yin and flipping the entire bright cold realm, this is a light price to pay. Tree Halberd, Shuji. In the consciousness domain of the sacred vessel stage, Baekwoon's planet-sized body is fixed. At the same time, her incarnation's hand grips a massive wooden spear, over 10 times larger than the incarnation itself. Kururururung. Her form made of clouds siphons lightning from Jaeon Myung-hoon's heavenly golden thunder body. Simultaneously, it feels as if the entire bright cold realm is suppressing me, blocking any attempt to draw upon my main body's authority. Is she really planning to kill Jaeon Myung-hoon? Even if he can revive, I can't just waste Jaeon Myung-hoon's life on something like this. Wong. I form a chi sword, gripping it as I take my stance and begin performing a sword dance. Did you know, Sacred Master? Just die already, you vile scum. In an instant, my consciousness rises to a higher realm. The single strike of a sacred master who is virtually no different from a true immortal inside a middle realm. Unlike last time, when she dealt with me half-heartedly, the authority where I can feel her genuine will to rip me apart entirely. Facing Blood Yin, I block their single strike once. The sword dance of divine descent unfolds in my hands. A world enters within the sword dance. At the same time, I feel the power of the entire bright cold realm settling within the sword dance. I faintly sense the strands of Baekwoon's emotions that are interwoven throughout the entire bright cold realm and adjust the world's flow. She is shocked. How? I am the sacred master of the bright cold realm. I am its rightful administrator. Do. Using Jaeon Myung-hoon's body, I draw a circle. Usually, only my power and the world's strength reside in the Sumeru sword dance. But now, using the power of the lightning sacred C2. Divine descent into Jaeon Myung-hoon's body. Kurururung. I feel even the power of the lightning sacred C, from that distant place, enter into the Sumeru sword dance. Severing mountain swordsmanship. 33rd move. Sumeru. Transformation technique. Sumeru bright cold lightning path. Heavenly lightning surges into the sky with peach blossom petals, unleashing a roar like a dragon's cry. Baekwoon's earnest single strike, borrowing even the power of the bright cold realm, bursts apart as I pierce straight through her incarnation, scattering the clouds as I soar into the sky. I implore. My will, having briefly accelerated into the domain of true immortals, reverberates across the entire bright cold realm. The grudges be resolved. Among the living beings who hear my will, the weaker ones faint on the spot, those at the heavenly being stage or higher feel a severe strain on their hearts, and those from the 4-axis stage and above have their eardrums rupture. Even the integration stage grand cultivators and demon kings tremble uncontrollably and collapse where they stand upon hearing my will. Baekwoon's form, manifested as clouds, disperses and speaks. To gain the selection of a heavenly lord, must one be a genius of your caliber. Her tone carries a hint of lament. I will resolve my grudges here. My admirations for your talent that shines like the sun. Baekwoon withdraws her consciousness while admiring me, and I descend upon Cedarwood Grove using Jaeon Myung-hoon's body. The Heart tribe of Cedarwood Grove, my comrades, and a few of the grand cultivators residing there have all gathered. I apologize for causing a disturbance. Everyone, I am Seo Eun-yun, currently undergoing divine descent into Jaeon Myung-hoon's body. My main body remains at the lightning sacred sea and it's when I begin to calmly explain the situation. From among my comrades, Yeon Wei, who is possessing Yeon Jin's body, pops out. She looks at me and asks, So you possess Jaeon Myung-hoon's body? Yes. Since I am part of the Heart tribe, like the heaven collapsing esteemed one, I can use the Heart tribe's characteristics too. Even Jang-ik couldn't directly possess a bright cold realm's Heart tribe from the lightning sacred sea. Well, it seems activating the extinguishing divine tribulating heavens techniques formula from the lightning sacred sea enabled the possession. Of Jaeon Myung-hoon. Yes, that's correct, but among the records of the lightning sacred sea left in the ancient texts of the Golden Divine Heavenly Thunder sect, the only one who used the divine descent characteristic of the lightning sacred sea was the founder himself, and only a few true immortal direct disciples of the founder. From the start, for such divine descent to be invoked, there is a transmission that states one's mind must extend across the 5 domains, much like a true immortal. I believe there is a slight misunderstanding, Elder Yeon Wei. While my mind may indeed span across the 5 domains, this is ultimately just a workaround method. And as I've mentioned multiple times before, I have something to say. Let us meet shortly in Jaeon Myung-hoon's quarters. With those words, she flies off to Jaeon Myung-hoon's residence. Sensing her unsettled intent, I briefly explain to the taken aback Heart tribe before going to seek out Yeon Wei. By the way, esteemed one CO. Sir Kim Young-hoon is looking for you. Please inform Hung Nim that I'll visit him shortly as well. There are some matters I must attend to first. To clear up Yi and-Wei's misunderstanding, I fly to Jaeon Myung-hoon's quarters. Elder, are you here? Creak. I enter Jaeon Myung-hoon's quarters and find her. There, I meet the eyes of Yi and-Wei, kneeling submissively in the center of the room waiting for me. The unsettled look in her eyes has subsided. Hold on, Elder Yi and-Wei. What are you doing? Please, rise. That voice just now was only. The yell you let out just now was heard throughout the entire Middle Realm. It was only recently that the voice of that being from the Blood Yin realm struck the bright cold realm. How could I forget that sensation so quickly? She kneels before me humbly, then suddenly starts to remove my shoes and socks. Wait, you're misunderstanding. No, before that, what are you even? Then, my mind goes blank at her continuing actions. Yi and-Wei no longer looks up at me with trembling, anxious, hollow, or despair-filled eyes. Instead, she exudes an intent of her heart being completely at peace, carefully removing Jaeon Myung-hoon's shoes and setting them aside before lowering her head before my bare feet. Please do not address me as elder, O Great One. I have spent much time in thought, and I have finally come to a conclusion. Now that the founder of the Golden Divine Heavenly Thunder sect is gone, our sect is left without his protection, and instead, only true immortal level beings with deep resentment against the founder remain. Yet, the Great One has always extended your support to help maintain the lineage of the Golden Divine Heavenly Thunder sect. With a sincerely devoted intent directed towards me, she continues, her face bowed beside my feet. As the highest elder of the current Golden Divine Heavenly Thunder sect, I humbly ask. From now on, the Golden Divine Heavenly Thunder sect will become a sect devoted to serving the Great One. Therefore, I implore, please become the divine spirit that guards us in place of the founder. After finishing her words, she presses her lips to the top of my foot, repeating her plea. This foolish mortal humbly asks. Please take pity on our Golden Divine Heavenly Thunder sect. Until the successor of the Golden Divine, Myung-hoon, fully matures, please protect us. Chapter 479, Sacred Sea 4. I look up at the ceiling for a moment, rubbing my face with my hand. Single quote. No matter how I explain it, she won't believe me anymore. She has reached a conclusion all on her own. Even if I were to cruelly torture her, say that I am Seo Un-yun, not a true immortal. Or if I were to gently persuade her, saying, I am not true immortal. On the surface, she might seem convinced, but deep down, she would still believe I am a true immortal and treat me as such. What should I do? I am Seo Un-yun. I am not some true immortal, I am simply Seo Un-yun. How exactly am I supposed to prove myself? Quote. I am. Raising Yi and-Wei, who looks as if she's about to lick my feet, I say. Seo Un-yun, I am not a true immortal. Quote. Yi and-Wei listens to my words with utmost respect. No matter how you think of me, well, to be honest, if you don't know me, you wouldn't understand. I admit it, I may look like a true immortal at times. But regardless of what you think, I am not a true immortal. How? But, I cut off her words and speak firmly. If you believe me to be a true immortal, then think of me that way. After all, I, too, aim to become a true immortal someday, and if that day ever comes, I won't forget the Golden Divine Heavenly Thunder sect. At my words, her eyes light up. Thank you so much. She bows down and continues to kiss my feet. Unable to forcibly stop her, I can only clear my throat and step back. Please stop, and, I would appreciate it if you treated me as you used to. As you command. Thud, she answers, bowing her head with enough force to make a thud, and then steps back. Watching Yi and-Wei's display, I sit in a lotus position in Jaeon Myung-hoon's quarters for a moment. Crack, crackle, gradually, I feel it. My consciousness is once again reversing back to the lightning sacred sea, and this brief moment of divine descent is about to end. I speak into the void. Are you watching, Jaeon Myung-hoon? And immediately, a reply comes. Yeah, when did you wake up? From the very beginning. It's just that until now, I couldn't react inside you because the presence of your soul was so overwhelming. Should I say I was flattened? Something like that. When you raised your consciousness to the immortal domain using my body to block the sacred master's attack, the intensity of the stimulus was so strong that I had no choice but to awaken forcefully. But thanks to you, I got to experience the immortal realm early, it wasn't bad. Quote. What do you think about Yi and-Wei's behavior? What do you mean, what do I think? Just accept it. Our ancestor, after all, despite how often she misses the mark, does put in the effort in her own way. The problem is that she misses the mark far too often. That is true. I check on the awakened Jaeon Myung-hoon within me to see if he's alright, and he surprisingly doesn't seem to have any major issues. It seems that anyone who has mastered the Red Lightning Heavenly Tribulation method can maintain their consciousness and resist even during a divine descent. In this case, however, my consciousness is so overwhelming that Jaeon Myung-hoon's consciousness was flattened without a chance to resist. So then, what's the problem? Yi In-wei swore to follow you faithfully, didn't she? I just want her to treat me as me. Jaeon Myung-hoon bursts into laughter inside me at that. Ha ha ha, how funny. What does it even mean to treat you as you? Well, that is, are you asking to be treated as human Seo Eun-yun? Give it up. That's impossible. Being treated like a human, honestly, even reaching the chi building stage is enough to begin shedding that part. The moment one enters the path of immortal cultivation and surpasses the chi building stage, we are no longer humans but rather, cultivators who resemble humans. Still, as a fellow sect member, I get what you're trying to say, but that's impossible too. This isn't just an issue of being a cultivator or the realm, it's because the subject is you. Just what about me? Do you want me to be blunt? Pajijik. As my presence starts being drawn back into the lightning sacred sea, Jaeon Myung-hoon seems to regain some energy. He creates a clone with lightning in front of his body and speaks through it. You know, have been acting strange lately. That's because of the star-shattering stage. In star-shattering, the heart gradually transforms into attraction force. I explained to him about the realm of star-shattering, and after listening, Jaeon Myung-hoon nods immediately. It's clear now. What I'm about to say has nothing to do with that kind of attraction force in the star-shattering stage. Just Seo Eun-yun, it's about your fundamental state. My fundamental state? That's right, I'm talking about you. Honestly, as time goes by, you're paying more attention to your shoulders. It's not because your shoulders are an erogenous zone or because you've learned some technique that makes them more sensitive, right? Of course not. The reason your shoulders have been getting more sensitive and why you keep focusing on them, in my perspective, it's because you're carrying too much weight on them. What? When I look at you, you know. He reaches toward my chest, pulling out the hand of Sohei from within and gently strokes it. Sometimes, it seems like you're excessively abusing yourself. It feels like, because of the burdens you carry on your back, you're being crushed by the weight and dying a little each day. Fortunately, in the world of Kunglai Island, that world resembling the head realm, after you spoke with the reincarnation of Baekhyunghwa, you seem to have stopped some of that self-punishment. That's true. I heard from Baek Ran about how to forgive myself. Simultaneously, I extinguished the flames of abuse that had been tormenting me, capturing the starting point of my immortal art and completing crystal glass to treading sea. Back then, I forgave myself a lot. Yes, since then, your complexion has improved significantly. But, he strokes Sohei's hand and looks at me. Even if you've forgiven yourself, it seems you're still driving yourself too hard. What? It's exactly as I said. There's too much weighing on your shoulders. I'm saying you try to take responsibility for everything all by yourself. He speaks with a serious expression. Of course, I understand. Honestly, the Enders you mentioned. It's because among us Enders, you're the most capable. It's a good attitude to have. But because you put too much burden on your shoulders and push yourself too hard, at some point, it seems like you stopped caring about others' opinions and perspectives. Ancestor Yi In-wei's attitude also reflects this. Haven't you been judging her solely from your own perspective? It's not necessarily a bad thing. After all, the majority of our fates rest on your shoulders. But, sometimes, listen to the views and perspectives of those weaker than you. I don't mean to pay attention or be considerate of the weak. He places Jin Sohei's hand down momentarily, then rises from his seat and puts his hand on my shoulder. I don't brush it off. It's not about paying attention to the weak, just trust us a little more. I will always believe in you and follow you. But, also remember that we, too, have our own perspectives, views, and the heart to be of help to you. That person has also found a solution that she believes will benefit us most, based on her own judgment. I'll think about it. Pajijik. It seems the duration of divine descent has reached its end. My consciousness scatters directly from inside Jeon Myung-hoon's body. Pasasasasa. The sound of murmuring echoes from all directions. This is. I immediately recognize what they are. They are voices. The voices of those who have learned the lightning path method. Pajik, pajijijik. I savor the sensation of lightning swirling inside my mind, identifying their identities. I see. These are all those who were taught by Yongsu Jin. Those who learned the wisdom of lightning from Yongsu Jin and inherited his teachings. However, the majority are Qi building stage and below. I see. That time, the day the owner of Heavenly Punishment sought out Zhengli and erased the Golden Divine Heavenly Thunder sect. The owner of Heavenly Punishment not only wiped out the Golden Divine Heavenly Thunder sect but almost all those who had received Yongsu Jin's teachings. The ones who survived were the extreme cases. Jeon Myung-hoon, with the highest talent among them, are unaffected by the owner of Heavenly Punishment's power due to their powerful strength, the few entities in the vast and even more immense upper world. It seems a few of Yongsu Jin's disciples who were presumed to be true immortals also survived. I erase their presence from my mind and survey others. Aside from the true immortals, the majority are below the Qi building stage. They were likely deemed unworthy of being killed directly by the owner of Heavenly Punishment. In other words, the vast majority of Yongsu Jin's disciples remaining in this world are either at the Qi building stage or true immortals. The Golden Divine Heavenly Thunder sect in the head realm is unique. According to Yi and Wei's occasional reports, it seems that in the head realm's Golden Divine Heavenly Thunder sect, a few nascent soul cultivators have emerged, completely seizing dominance over the continent. With the Golden Divine Heavenly Thunder sect controlling the head realm, it's likely that within a few years, they will gather the continent's resources and produce someone who will reach the heavenly being stage. I see. So in the Lightning Sacred Sea, if someone who is thought to continue the Golden Divine Heavenly Thunder sects, or in essence, Yongsu Jin's legacy, enters, they are given the chance to observe Yongsu Jin's connections in the Lightning Sacred Sea. I fully condense my consciousness and examine my surroundings. My surroundings are dark. I sense the attraction force around me shifting as some phenomenon approaches. While waiting for it to draw near, I reflect on my conversation with Jeon Myung-hoon. Compared to when we first came to Ascension Path, he really has changed a lot. Yes, I've definitely been thinking too much from my own perspective lately. Perhaps it's because I've experienced death too many times in such a short span. At times, I even confuse my own death with that of my comrades, and once, thinking that since I can endure the titles of true immortals, an entering nirvana true person naturally would be able to do so as well, I recklessly dropped the titles and names of true immortals like a bomb on Jin Lugok, who had given me grace. The distinction between self-woe and others' ta has grown blurred through so many deaths. Because of that, I think I've become confused about the difference between the me I see and the me others see. While I simply see myself as myself, I might actually appear as an unfathomable monster from the perspective of someone ordinary like Yi and Wei, something I had overlooked. Is. I compress the heavenly rain great star and insert it into my incarnation body, taking on a human form. Clench. I hold my head and make a bitter expression. That's something I don't want. Yi and Wei's relationship with me isn't deep enough for her attitude to wound me greatly. But, if I look at it objectively, this incident is no different from what happened with Cheongmin Ryong. The incident of someone who was once my master in a past life beginning to address me as senior or Taoist from the next life. Starting from Buk Hyonghwa and Cheongmin Ryong, how many of my precious ones have called me senior or elder? As time flows, I naturally grow stronger, but others can only live in time that is separate from my own. I bury my face in my hands. Regression is indeed a powerful authority. But, at the same time, it's also an incredibly dreadful curse. Because as long as I have this ability, I must live forever in fear of becoming someone too high, in the eyes of those dear to me. My strongest hope is simply life. It's something I've thought about continuously since the early cycles in the head realm. What I desire most is life. A single, proper life, where I fear death and, even if I die, time does not rewind, and my connections don't disappear. If my life were to be built on desire, then someday, I might find myself muttering something unfunny like, life is essentially life. As much as that, for me, whose meaning of life diminishes with each reversal of time, life has become something that I desperately crave. For, desperately craving for life, I have to pour all my strength into giving meaning to each life. For that reason, I want at least my comrades to see me as I am. Because even if time reverses, at least they stay by my side. But countless connections, starting with Cheongman Ryong and Buk Hyunghwa, and now even Yin Wei, those who once stood beside me are beginning to look at me with fear. In this situation, what am I supposed to do? It's not about paying attention to the weak, just trust us a little more. I will always believe in you and follow you. But, also remember that we, too, have our own perspectives, views, and the heart to be of help to you. That person has also found a solution that she believes will benefit us most, based on her own judgment. Quote. Are you asking me to trust you, Jaeon Myung-hoon? I recall Jaeon Myung-hoon's words. And as I think of those who stay beside me even within my backward flow of my time, I pull myself from my gloomy heart essence. Yes, I suppose there's no other choice. I dislike it when the reactions of those beside me change. I just want them to treat me as I am. But that's impossible unless I go as far as brainwashing them. As I grow stronger, naturally, their thoughts and perspectives towards me have no choice but to change. I have always told Jaeon Myung-hoon to trust and follow me. When I think about it, rather than just dragging them along by saying, this time, too, and ending it there, perhaps I should have trusted them better. Even if I find it unsatisfactory, their views and thoughts about me, I decide to trust their attitude towards me. Because they, too, are trusting me in their own way. Kurring, kururung, thunder roars, and before my eyes, a massive creature resembling a hummingbird appears. A hummingbird the size of the moon, its entire body composed of lightning. Quote. Exclamation mark quote. The moment I see it, I feel as if my main body is about to burst apart, and I sense lightning striking throughout the atmosphere of my main body. Who is the distinguished one? Wing. The hummingbird flaps its wings at a speed surpassing lightning, watching me for a moment. Then it shrinks to the size of my palm, and, standing in front of me, it begins cutting through the darkness. It seems to be telling me to follow. I follow the hummingbird, tearing through the space of darkness. After a while, I emerge from the darkness, arriving at a place resembling a peach blossom spring. A world where all kinds of rare and beautiful flowers are in full bloom, where wine springs forth like water everywhere, and flowers and trees emit beautiful sounds of music. The hummingbird leads me to a pavilion at the center of this world. In front of the pavilion, there is a small pond, and in that pond stands a 100-story stone pagoda densely covered with carvings like sesame seeds. The pagoda has many layers, but its overall size is only about the height of an adult man. What is that pagoda? Feeling a strange flow emanating from the pagoda, I follow the hummingbird into the pavilion. Just then, quote. Exclamation mark quote. The hummingbird that had guided me here now transforms into a small human girl with platinum blonde hair. She is dressed in a robe made of golden lightning, standing with her pristinely white and clean bare feet, offering her greetings from above within the pavilion. Surik. She opens her mouth in front of me. However, without uttering a sound, she only moves her lips. Since I know how to read lips, I can understand her meaning even without hearing her voice. Welcome to the inner depths of the lightning sacred sea, the management space, young master. Quote. And who is the distinguished one? I am the attendant concubine and pet of the golden divine, immortal beast golden shaking bird Jin Jen now. As for my true name and title, as young master cannot withstand my rank and hearing it could drive young master mad, I will not reveal it at this time. I look at golden shaking bird, feeling tense. Why have you brought me here? It is because young master has rightfully inherited the legacy of the golden divine. The golden divine instructed that if someone who has completed the extinguishing divine tribulating heavens technique appears, this management space of the lightning sacred sea should be gifted to them. Hearing this, I speak with a joyful expression. Oh, in that case, since I'm here, I'd like to take with me the symbols of the 5 middle realms that are said to be in the lightning sacred sea. However, golden shaking bird chuckles at my words and covers her mouth. I apologize for my rudeness, however, you cannot take them from here. What? Why not? Because, the lightning sacred sea is merely the passage leading to the space where the symbols of the 5 middle realms are located. It is not the place where they actually reside. The golden divine's treasure vault is located separately. The very purpose of the lightning sacred sea's existence is merely to serve as a pathway to escape anywhere within Mount Sumeru, should those like young master arrive one day. Mount Sumeru. Those who attain the rank of immortality often refer to the 3,000 great thousand worlds as Mount Sumeru. There is no need to know right now. Understood. In any case, the true power of the lightning sacred sea is to function as an emergency passageway. That is correct. Good. Then, through that power, I'd like to transfer the living beings of the sun and moon heavenly domain to another domain when the end occurs here. Chuckle. Once again, Golden Shaking Bird laughs and shakes her head. I apologize, but that is impossible. As the lightning sacred sea is a labyrinth the golden divine created to escape from the heavenly punishment supreme deity, only someone acknowledged by the golden divine who can wield the extinguishing divine tribulating heavens technique like young master is able to use it. What? Of course, if the golden divine were to revive, sufficiently master the red lightning heavenly tribulation method, and return, these usage conditions could be changed, but that is probably impossible. She looks somewhere with a somewhat bittersweet and longing expression. It seems she misses Yang Su Jin quite deeply. Hearing her words, I smile inwardly to myself. I'll just bring Jaeon Myung Hoon back here later. If it's him, he could surely change Golden Shaking Bird's mind. Well then, for now, I've settled the fundamental issue regarding the lightning sacred sea. I should handle the remaining matters. Even if I were to transport the living beings of the sun and moon heavenly domain's astral realm to another domain, I still need to find the symbols of the 5 middle realms. I speak to Golden Shaking Bird. Then, for now, open the path to Yang Su Jin's treasure vault. I need to acquire the divine artifacts of the 5 middle realms. At this, Golden Shaking Bird shakes her head wildly with a slightly unnerved expression. That, too, is impossible. Why are there so many restrictions? I am truly sorry. However, if the Golden Divine's treasure vault were to be improperly handled by someone who has risen to the immortal seat, they could end up like the heavenly lightning banner, trapped in a place of misfortune. It's too frightening to meddle with. Therefore, instead of me opening the door, it would be more suitable for young master to overcome the trial and enter the treasure vault. Understood. So then, how do I go about receiving this trial? In response to my question, Golden Shaking Bird points outside the pavilion, towards the pond. The stone pagoda in that pond. That pagoda is called the Tower of Trials, and within it are trials ranging from the chi refining stage up to the entering nirvana stage. If you break through the pagoda and reach the topmost level, not only will you naturally gain access to the Golden Divine's treasure vault, but you will also be able to control the lightning sacred sea even more powerfully. Understood. I shall proceed as suggested. I observe Golden Shaking Bird for a moment, and since she doesn't seem to harbor any malice, I decide to follow her words. The Tower of Trials resets all progress once one enters and exits. However, since young master is here, I will make a special effort to ensure that progress can be saved from the last level reached, instead of starting from the beginning. Good. Then open the door so I can enter the Tower of Trials. I approach the pond and speak. And at that moment, Golden Shaking Bird gives me a hard push on the waist with her pristine white foot from behind. You just need to step right in. Splash. Without a chance to resist, I'm shoved by her foot and fall into the pond. URK. Recalling the feel of Golden Shaking Bird's foot just now, a thought suddenly comes to mind. Did Yang Su Jin capture Zhengli because of her soft feet? Somehow, the thought that only true immortal rank beings with clean feet are around Yang Su Jin crosses my mind. With such thoughts in mind, I sink deeper into the water. Splash. Emerging from the water, I look around my surroundings. This place. It's the same hot spring-like world I visited last time. Woo-doo-dook. I manipulate attraction force to pierce a hole in the world. Then, I move on to the next world beyond the hot spring world. The next world is a place where the light is extremely dim, almost completely shrouded in darkness. As I sweep through with the consciousness of the star-shattering stage, I find it's a world where fruits and flowers made of protein bloom. It seems this is where Jang Ik had picked up that meat apple. Simultaneously upon entering this world, a marker enters the rage of my attraction force. First floor. It seems the hot spring world was like a waiting area, and this is where the Tower of Trials actually begins. However, there doesn't seem to be anything like a trial here. The star-shattering expedition team must have already cleared this trial. Most likely, the expedition team is stationed on the upper floors. Kurururung. Once again, I manipulate attraction force and break through to the next floor. Second floor, third floor, fourth floor, 27th floor, 28th floor, 29th floor, 30th floor, 40th floor, 50th floor, 60th floor, 80th floor. Finally, when I reach the 95th floor, I find myself in a place resembling outer space and survey my surroundings. As I try to pierce through the space with attraction force, a counterforce appears, restoring the space. This must be an uncleared floor. Then the expedition team should be here. I extend my consciousness domain and begin to explore into the distant reaches. Then, beyond the cosmic space, I see a colossal entity being pursued by several beings. Kwaggg. It's a beetle the size of a satellite. The beetle, scattering golden lightning, flies toward me, thrusting its mandibles in my direction. It seems intent on splitting me apart. But in the next moment, the three great ultimates rise. Behind my back, wing, the three great ultimates begin to spin, and I reach out towards the lightning beetle. Kwaggg. The beetle's mandibles are caught in my hand. I tighten my grip on the beetle, and after a moment, it bursts apart and dies. Quang. In the place where the beetle exploded and died, a small golden fragment remains. I reach out and grab the golden fragment. Simultaneously, I become aware through my attraction force that I can now proceed to the next floor. It seems this creature was the master of this floor. And it's when I've caught the floor's master. Flash. A group of esteemed ones with vast presences assembles around me. There are a total of 21 of them. Among them, I smile slightly when glancing at a green-hued figure before turning to observe the rest of the esteemed ones. Greetings, seniors. This unworthy junior is Seo Eun-yun, a star-shattering esteemed one who has recently emerged from the bright cold realm and a practitioner of the human race. I have come here under the guidance of the Sacred Master to assist in the conquest of the lightning sacred sea. I hope you will allow me to be of assistance. Then, amidst my polite greeting, an unexpected voice shouts in fury. You filthy thing, are you that human race madman? Pardon. I turn my head, and there, a star-shattering stage-esteemed one who appears to be from the tall tree race is glaring at me with a face flushed red. You've come well, you son of a scoundrel. You dare to defile my sacred master. I'll rip your main body to shreds and scatter it across heaven and earth. ... There seems to be a misunderstanding, Taoist. And besides, why is Sacred Master Baek Woon, your Sacred Master? Silence. I have nothing to explain to a molester like you. Esteemed ones of the bright cold realm, let us all attack this vile menace. At his words, several esteemed ones from the bright cold realm surround me. Look here, Taoists. Why are you all following the words of this tall tree race Taoist? There's no point in exhausting ourselves here in pointless conflict. How about moving on and tackling the next floor quickly? However, an esteemed one of the yellow dragon race speaks, their eyes gleaming. There's no use denying it, evil breed. Everyone here has already heard that you tortured the Sacred Master and provided the opportunity for the owner of the Blood Yin realm to descend upon the bright cold realm. You are no better than a traitor to the bright cold realm. Standing beside them, a fighting ghost race esteemed one flexes their muscles and grins. Torturing the Sacred Master? Just how powerful are you? And on top of that, a member of the Heart tribe. I'm already looking forward to how exciting it will be when we fight. TL, a reminder that excited can also mean aroused. It seems they are divided. Those who simply want to fight me, and those who resent me for allegedly torturing the Sacred Master and enabling the descent of Blood Yin. But it doesn't end there. Haha, I don't like allying with those from the bright cold realm, but if it means I can legally beat down on a human race, I'm more than willing to join anytime. The esteemed ones from the True Devil realm also join in, encircling me. Our ancient force realm has business with him as well. We need to find out why he's been issued an exile order from Sacred Master Heilin. After assisting with the capture, we will handle the interrogation. The esteemed ones of the ancient force realm surround me for an absurd reason. Adding to that, the esteemed ones of the bright cold realm address the remaining esteemed ones who are standing back and just watching. Look here, purple gold realm Taoists and mountains and rivers Taoists. If you assist us in capturing this one, we will make it worth your while. Please lend us your aid. Purple gold realm esteemed ones and mountains and rivers esteemed ones also surround me. TL, mountains and rivers as in miscellaneous factions, hermits, etc. I might have translated it as independent or hermit in the past, but I'll be using mountains and rivers from now on. I observe the esteemed ones encircling me. 5 from the bright cold realm. 3 from the true devil realm. 4 from the ancient force realm. 4 from the purple gold realm. 4 mountains and rivers esteemed ones roaming the astral realm. A total of 20 esteemed ones have encircled me. As I observe the esteemed ones around me, I notice the only one who hasn't joined the ranks of the attackers. I look at heaven collapsing esteemed one Jang Ik and say, this disciple Seo Eun-yun has seen Master. Good. But, will Master not be joining in the joint attack? The esteemed one's eyes widen when I address Jangik as my master, and they all start watching him warily. However, Jangik lays down in the cosmic space and closes his eyes as if he has no interest. Anyway, I heard you either killed or put into a comatose state all my top disciples. ... For now, wait, I'm drained from clearing this floor, so know that I'll face you when I'm in my best condition. I'm going to sleep for a bit. All of you, handle things as you see fit until I wake up. After saying this, Jangik adjusts the surrounding environment, ensuring that no one can approach his vicinity, and falls asleep just like that. With looks of relief, the esteemed ones collectively let out sighs of relief. It's a relief that heaven collapsing hasn't betrayed us. So he isn't on your side either, human wretch. Blame your fate. They begin tightening their encirclement. And I smirk. Oh dear, that's the wrong answer. Wrong answer. I speak to the one who seems to represent them, the yellow dragon race esteemed one. It's not that Jangik didn't betray you. Rather, he should have joined forces with you to pressure me. Ha, looks like you're relying on something because he's your master. Alright, that's enough. Let's cut the chit-chat. Why don't you come at me? To be honest, even I am somewhat curious about the extent of my own abilities. Since reaching the star-shattering stage, all my opponents have been beings like Blood Yin, the Sword Spear Heavenly Lord, Sacred Master Baekwoon who merged with the Bright Cold Realm, and the entering Nirvana quasi-immortal Jinlu Gok, each of them far above my level. I need an objective assessment of my strength. In that sense, the 20 star-shattering stage esteemed ones have shown up at just the right time. Among the esteemed ones who seem incredulous at my declaration, one esteemed one from the Purple Gold Realm lets out an enraged shout and charges at me. Arrogant fool! The colorless glass sword bursts forth from within my body. Woo-doo-dook. With the power of crystal glass to treading sea, my right hand holding the colorless glass sword transforms into glass true fire, merging with the colorless glass sword. The three great ultimates appear, and I, merged with the sword, raise it and slash. Severing mountain swordsmanship. Ascending vein. Tukwong. The energy of the three great ultimates flows into the sword, sending the Purple Gold Realm esteemed one tearing through the space and up to the next floor. Kwong, kwong, kwong. Even after piercing through the next floor, the Purple Gold Realm esteemed one continues to break through the subsequent floors above. The 96th, 97th, 98th, and 99th floors are pierced through all at once. From these 4 floors, powerful presences surge down upon the 95th floor. The owners of those presences all express their anger at me for recklessly punching holes through their floors. Warururururuk. Enveloping myself in glass true fire, I take out my main body and begin transforming it. Crystal glass to treading sea. Full release Quan Kai. Origin star Ben Yuan Xing combat technique form Do Fa Xing open. My origin star changes, taking on a combat optimized form. The glass true fire envelops the entirety of my origin star. I distort attraction force and place Hong Fan and Seo Ran, who are within the origin star, into a suitable alternate space, then transform my body. Warururuk. The glass true fire blazes across the entire origin star, reshaping its form. As the origin star compresses, I assume the appearance of human Seo Unyun. Glass true fire blankets my entire body, transforming into the robes of immortals, with parts of the flames trailing down my back to form winged garments. As my consciousness accelerates, part of it reaches the immortal domain. From within the flames of glass, I look down upon the esteemed ones with arrogance and speak. Comeatme. Chapter 480. Esteemed One's Power. Zing. As the will emanates from the realm of immortal domain, the esteemed ones all shudder where they stand as though struck by a powerful shock. However, Gal, he. At the thunderous roar of the yellow dragon race esteemed one, everyone quickly regains their senses. It seems you indeed have the skill to torture the sacred master. But it's still not enough. Warururuk. In the expanse of space, the body of a yellow dragon ignites in flames. Simultaneously, I can see 6 stars within them. So, they completed the heavenly inner diagram great star. They're in the late star-shattering stage. In the star-shattering stage, the number of stars naturally divides the realm into early, middle, and late. If only the heavenly rain great star is created, it's the early stage. Heavenly rain, heavenly clearing, heavenly cloudiness, heavenly want of connection, and heavenly crossing. Up to 5 stars is the middle stage. Beyond that, if one succeeds in attaching oneself to a larger planet for cultivation and gaining enlightenment on attraction force, then successfully creating the heavenly inner diagram great star, one reaches the late stage. Finally, upon creating the 7th star, the heavenly outer diagram great star, by drawing in the energy of the entire universe through attraction force, one reaches the grand perfection star shattering stage. Kugugugugu. The 6 stars of the yellow dragon are linked to each other, exchanging star veins and amplifying their power. Then, at the peak of that power, flash, a dragon wave erupts from their mouth. In an instant, the cosmic space lights up. In the midst of this intense heat and light, I am momentarily reminded of the phenomena extinguishing mantra of the great mountain supreme deity. Very good. Heaven above and heaven below are filled solely with the golden dragon wave. From within it, I surge forth glass true fire and smile brightly. Even if I go a little rough, it won't break them. Kugugugugu. The bright cold realm's yellow dragon race esteemed one. As Gu Wal Jin spews a dragon wave from their mouth, they furrow their brows. I did expect this much because they said he's a madman who tortured the sacred master, but, truly terrifying indeed. Do. Beyond the dragon wave, they catch sight of a monstrosity slowly breaking through and click their tongue inwardly. From what I heard, he joined hands with the golden divine's successor to exploit the sacred master's injury so. I thought he was merely someone who targeted others' weaknesses, but, no. This man is a veteran of many battles who has cut through brutal battlefields, overcoming opponents stronger than himself to make it this far. Grasping the essence of Xiao Unyun at a glance, Wal Jin signals to the other esteemed ones. Recognizing Wal Jin's signal, the esteemed ones adopt serious expressions and begin to draw upon their full power. He's a monster. Everyone, do not let your guard down. Crush him with your full power. As everyone are individuals capable of foreseeing the future and discerning the wisdom of time and space, none gathered here underestimate Xiao Unyun. 3 esteemed ones from the purple gold realm advance to the next floor. The 99th, 98th, 97th, and 96th floors have already been breached, and the monstrous beings of each floor are currently emitting murderous intent toward Xiao Unyun. It would be nice if the Taoists of the Nether Ghost Realm were here. It can't be helped. They all suddenly fell into madness and fled somewhere. There's no time to lament those who are absent. They each ascend a floor, beginning to guide the minds of the floor masters who radiate killing intent towards Xiao Unyun. The masters of each floor start to fix their gazes on Xiao Unyun. Wuduk. From within Wal Jin's dragon wave, a hand emerges. It is a hand made of flames of glass. Wudududuk. As the hand breaks through the dragon wave, it gradually tears it apart, creating an exit pathway. Finally, when he tears out from Wal Jin's dragon wave, flash, Wal Jin stops emitting the dragon wave and quickly retreats. The spot he vacated from is filled by the esteemed ones of the ancient force realm. 4 esteemed ones of the ancient force realm. Sea Sinking esteemed one, Wei Mu Qian. Red Tide esteemed one, Yi. Salt Sea esteemed one, Yuk Jung. Great Pulse esteemed one, Sa Ha. They are the esteemed ones of the Sea King race that is Heilin's collateral bloodline, the Red Shark race, the Sea Dragon race, and the Iron Crab race respectively. So, you're the one they say brought Blood Yin, that bastard, and wrecked the bright cold realm. Kwang. Salt Sea esteemed one, Yuk Jung. The esteemed one of the Sea Dragon race descends towards Xiao Unyun in a half-human, half-dragon form and speaks. Xiao Unyun raises one arm to block Yuk Jung's foot and looks up at him. Yuk Jung grins widely and says, I couldn't care less about the exile order or whatever from Sacred Master Heilin, but just the fact that you aided that retarded immortal Blood Yin is reason enough to be your enemy. Demon ability. 300 million Jin Deep Sea Star, Sanyi Jin Shenhai Xing. Kugugugugu. Droplet by droplet, a massive sphere of water forms around Xiao Unyun, each drop containing a weight of 300 million Jin. At first, the water sphere seems to evaporate as it contacts the glass true fire, but it quickly grows in size, soon reaching a planetary scale. Xiao Unyun is caught in the center of the planet-sized sea, feeling immense attraction forces compressing his body and the crushing pressure of the water from all sides. Perish. Pasasasasasa. Pure white light bursts forth from various points within the sea of the 300 million Jin Deep Sea Star. The salt in the sea emits light, transforming into a form of power on the plane of Qi. Salt sea flooding the heavens esoteric method Yan. There is a legend in the ancient force realm. When the legendary divine skill, Salt Sea returning Dew Jade, is mastered, it is said to grant supremacy of the ancient force realm in one's hand. Yuk Jung once exterminated an esoteric cult in the ancient force realm and killed its chief law protector, obtaining a technique from the law protector's corpse. That technique became their Innate true method and is also derived from a portion of Salt Sea returning Dew Jade's formula. It is the peerless divine skill, Salt Sea flooding the heavens esoteric method. Behold, this is the pinnacle of esoteric methods honed over tens of thousands of years to kill blood yin and yang, Salt Sea flooding the heavens esoteric method. Kurururun. The entirety of the summoned 300 million Jin deep sea star shines pure white and explodes. The floor in the form of cosmic space quakes, piercing holes into the very fabric of space. Wal Jin shouts at Yukjung. Yukjung, what are you doing, making a hole in the Tower of Trials? Hoo ha ha, who cares? Now's not the time to worry about that trivial stuff. Then, in the midst of the pure white light exploded by Yukjung's Salt Sea flooding the heavens esoteric words, a shadow begins to shimmer. As the light fades, a round crystal rests at the center of the explosion, as if sitting like an egg. Crack. In the next moment, the crystal shatters, and Seo Un-yun bursts forth from within. Not bad. If what you learned was at the level of Salt Sea returning Dew Jade, it could have been dangerous. Then, he smirks. So, is it my turn now? Warurururuk. The glass true fire on Seo Un-yun's entire body flares up even more fiercely. He appears completely unaffected by Yukjung's recent attack. Launch a full assault. Don't give him any opportunities. Wei Mu Qian from the Sea King races cries out. At the same time, the esteemed ones of the ancient force realm pour their most powerful attacks towards Seo Un-yun once more. Seo Un-yun forms hand seals. Crystal glass to treading sea star. Sword sea star bod. Querararik. The glass true fire blazing on his body transforms. Each fire fragment of the glass true fire turns into a sword, whirling wildly around him. At the same time, Seo Un-yun's hand begins to transform. Warurururuk. His hand transforms completely into glass true fire and merges perfectly with the colorless glass sword that emerges from the void. The next instant, the attraction force in the area twists violently, and Seo Un-yun leaps towards the esteemed ones of the ancient force realm. Outside the lightning sacred sea. There, everything remains calm, appearing just as it would under normal circumstances. And, the four colossal beings surrounding the lightning sacred sea each let out a sigh. They are the esteemed ones of the Nether Ghost realm. You all felt it too, didn't you? I felt it. A reaper of the Netherworld has undergone divine descent upon the lightning sacred sea. Hey, Black Ghost Palace brat. Say something. At our level, everyone knows your lot are just lackeys of the underworld. So just why did a reaper suddenly descend upon the lightning sacred sea? How would I know? And you call us lackeys of the underworld, but we're only the bottom of the bunch. We've never even glimpsed the real ship of the underworld. All we managed to do is glimpse the shadows to barely replicate the nether crossing ship. If a reaper suddenly descends, just what am I supposed to do about it? Feeling the terrifying aura of death that had just descended upon the lightning sacred sea, they bicker among themselves. And just then, something begins to register in their foresight. Hua, Reaper. It's a Reaper. A Reaper is descending. Kia, run. I can't die yet. Please forgive me. Please forgive me. Seeing the scenes that unfold in their foresight, they all tremble in terror and leap to various parts of the universe, disappearing entirely. And immediately after they flee. Kwang, the dimensional barrier of the lightning sacred sea explodes apart as a colossal slash erupts outward. From within that slash, 20 esteemed ones emerge, glancing inside with expressions of horror. Why are you all acting like this? Didn't you say you would capture me? Come then, try capturing me. I'm not running away. Do. Something strides forward from within. At the same time, the fabric of space begins to tremble. And, the three esteemed ones of the true devil realm watching him. Black Fog esteemed one, Omu. Violent Cliff esteemed one, Tae Chiok. Star-seeking esteemed one, Yo-un. The Black Smoke race, whose body transforms into dark smoke. The Dark Ape race, descendants of the immortal beast mountain-destroying demon ape. The Batwing race, who have bat wings. The three esteemed ones begin to use their devilish arts. Tsa, a mist of curses spreads around, starting to bind Seo Un-yun. Violent Cliff esteemed one Tae Chiok charges at Seo Un-yun and throws a punch, while star-seeking esteemed one Yo-un, in the form of a young girl, opens her mouth wide behind him. Then, Seo Un-yun releases his glass true fire. Crystal glass to treading sea star. Heavenly shatter star bod. A pair of wings appears behind the glass true fire. The wings forged from flames of glass seem to reflect both the vast sky and the starry night alternatively. The pair of wings seems to absorb into Seo Eun-yun's arms, and he extends his hand towards Violent Cliff Esteemed One Tae Chiok. Jaejeong. What? Violent Cliff Esteemed One's eyes widen in shock. In the next moment, he lets out a crazed scream and pulls back from Seo Eun-yun. A glass-colored flame clings to his hand. Seo Eun-yun reaches out his hand towards Star-Seeking Esteemed One, who is opening her mouth to swallow him. Crystal glass to treading sea star. Twin flowers reaching the heavens. Yin soul flame. Warurururuk. The dark glass true fire enters the mouth of Star-Seeking Esteemed One, and shortly after, she immediately closes her mouth and struggles in agony. The following instant, Seo Eun-yun watches the black smoke covering him and lets out a sneer. This thing dares to scatter curses in the presence of this Esteemed One. Black fog Esteemed One meets Seo Eun-yun's gaze. They hurriedly read the celestial energy and calculate the optimal future. Then, they are stunned with shock. In every future they see, the only outcome is themselves, screaming like mad in agony. I'll teach you properly. Kugugugugu. The glass true fire begins rotating around Seo Eun-yun. Crystal glass to treading sea. Avachi hell star bod. ... exclamation mark exclamation mark exclamation mark exclamation mark exclamation mark exclamation mark. The glass true fire turns black. Simultaneously, the now darkened glass true fire envelops Seo Eun-yun's entire body. Black fog Esteemed One, having stared at the dyed black Seo Eun-yun, feels their eyeballs explode. Wah! They are struck with terror and flee. For an Esteemed One to simply look at a curse and have their eyes explode. This means that the being before them, at least in terms of curses, might be an entity infinitely close to a true immortal. You can't escape. Crystal glass to treading sea. Avachi hell star body. Sword sea star body. Seo Eun-yun's hand once again merges with the colorless glass sword. He swings the colorless glass sword, now ablaze with black flame, Heian. Sub-heart sword. Transcending mountain ridge embedment. The curse of the Avachi hell star body, channeled through the inescapable transcending mountain ridge embedment, lodges together directly into the black fog Esteemed One. The fleeing black fog Esteemed One lets out a terrifying scream, loud enough to echo throughout the entire Nereis star system, before turning into a star on the spot. Having endured too much pain. In a short period, their mind momentarily fell apart. No matter what, I can't let you go easily. Warururk. His body shifts from black flame back to ordinary glass-colored flames. Simultaneously, Seo Eun-yun extends both hands towards the other Esteemed Ones who are charging at him ferociously. Crystal glass to treading sea. Mysterious bizarre star bod. Thousands of strands of glass true fire spread out in all four directions from Seo Eun-yun's body. Don't block it. Evade. Under the lead of Wal Jin, the Esteemed Ones of the Bright Cold Realm all evade, but the two remaining Esteemed Ones from the True Devil Realm, and the Ancient Force Realm Blood Shark Race Esteemed One Gyoe, get hit by the flame. In that instant, glass true fire begins inscribing circuits onto their bodies. Kuarg. Hukua. Combining the spell of the mysterious bizarre Gu and the circuits of the Mad Lord, a technique that instantly turns those struck into puppets for manipulation hits the three Esteemed Ones. Star-Seeking Esteemed One, Violent Cliff Esteemed One, and Red Tide Esteemed One. The three Esteemed Ones scream as they instantly fall under the control of Seo Eun-yun and charge towards the other Esteemed Ones. The Esteemed Ones of the Ancient Force Realm and the Bright Cold Realm. And, the Esteemed Ones of the Purple Gold Realm, who had gone to control the monsters of the upper floors, now reveal themselves. The Master of the 96th Floor. A Thunder Corpse Lei Shi at the Grand Perfection Star-Shattering Stage charges at Seo Eun-yun under the control of a Purple Gold Realm Esteemed One. The Master of the 97th Floor, a Thunderpung Lei Peng at the Sacred Vessel level, flaps its wings, scattering a storm imbued with lightning, while the Master of the 98th Floor, a Thunder Bear Lei Shang begins gathering nearby nebulae, preparing for a supernova explosion. Crystal glass to treading sea. Wind painting star body Feng Tu Xing Ti. Interstellar wind begins to blow. Summoning wind dragon transformation, Great Desert to Dead Sea, and others. The authority of wind painting star body, which combines methods that manipulate wind and attraction force, controls the interstellar wind through attraction force. Kugugugugu. A tornado arises in the universe. Glass true fire mixes with the interstellar wind, scattering everywhere. The thunder beasts of the Tower of Trials, struck by the glass true fire, all begin to howl in rage. Not only are their spells disrupted by the interstellar wind, but the glass true fire brings a stinging pain to their bodies that seems almost unbearable. Then, Seo Eun-yun forms a hand seal. Crystal glass to treading sea. Avachi hell star body. The glass true fire covering their bodies all at once transforms into a black-colored fire, imbued with all of Seo Unyun's Paan. As soon as the thunder beasts are struck by the black-colored flames, they scream, losing their minds from the pain and start fleeing far from the lightning sacred sea. When the energy of the lightning sacred sea breaks, the thunder beasts disintegrate in unison. Seo Unyun smirks as he looks at the remaining esteemed ones. Now, only 5 esteemed ones from the bright cold realm remain in place. Of the yellow dragon race, opening heaven esteemed one, Wal Jin. Of the horned ox race, flattening heaven esteemed one, Ham Rak. Of the rotting owl race, safe heaven esteemed one, Hui Ro. Of the tall tree race, slaughtering heaven esteemed one, Gook Guang. Of the fighting ghost race, final heaven esteemed one, Jin Wal Ryong. Then, Gook Guang of the tall tree race draws a silver blue sword from their waist and shouts. I am a devotee of the great light. Pot, a silver white light surrounds them. Have you ever heard of this name? At Gook Guang's cry, the other bright cold realm esteemed ones immediately seal their hearing. The 5th seat of the Radiance 8 Immortals, Sword Spear Heavenly Lord. Invoking the name of a true immortal, Gook Guang pours all the silver white light into their sword. Using the name of a true immortal as an attack, they enlarge the silver blue sword. Wo Wang, the silver blue giant sword appears in the cosmic space. O Sword Spear Heavenly Lord, please grant strength to your devotee. The divine light of the sword seems to illuminate the entire universe. No matter how strong that one is, how could he stand unscathed before the name of a divine spirit? No, even if he somehow remains unharmed, how could he ever stand against the might of the divine spirit itself? With a majestic and unshaken manner, they pray for the protection of the Sword Spear Heavenly Lord, the divine spirit they serve. O divine spirit, please bestow your protection upon me. Like a priest offering a sacrifice, they extend both arms towards the divine light. In the next moment, the divine light of the sword begins to converge upon Seo Unyun.